also record just in case because it always fails. All right, everybody. I think we actually have everyone. All right. So yeah, we did have an academy game that was like 16 people. So this is not the biggest.
Hey, you're fucking insane.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'll do a quick recap over the recap. The Dicarius is 20 minutes from Starbase 123, towing the USS Olympic. We'll get into what happened to that ship in a moment. Vosky has been spending the last several hours studying a neural parasite that he captured. We'll get into what he discovers in a moment. Sub-Commander Kamina, you've been in main engineering doing diagnostics for the last several hours because, you just got the power back online on this prototype warbird, so you want to make sure that everything is in perfect condition. I'll go ahead and save you the role and say that it is. Colonel Carava, Lieutenant Commander Shamar, and Dr. Engstrom still interrogating Lieutenant Commander Frost in the Dicarius sickbay when a parasite is seen crawling up Carava's body towards his mouth, and that is where we ended. Now, let's see. We're gonna go to Vosky first. Vosky,
Okay.
you've used the ion microscope, which is just an intense scanning beam to determine what this thing is. However, you're detecting anomalous readings, some sort of other DNA. I'm gonna need you to make a reason and science or medicine, but I'm assuming you're going to go with science scan. Now the difficulty is only 1, and you have an opportunity, if you would like, to have the ship assist as well as one of your medical assistants. So you could either... Oh, actually you cannot. No, you cannot, because I did that because you're using a microscope and it's kind of hard for someone else to look through a microscope. So you can use the ship assist.
Might as well have the ship assist to try and get some momentum. It now only rolls complications, but yeah.
Right. I believe we have Kamina or Colin. You said you were going to handle the ship assist. Is that correct?
Maybe. If I did, then I will do that.
We can, if it comes to the point where like you're too busy, we'll throw it off to one of the new players.
Yeah, I just don't remember saying. I kind of remember saying that, but it's been a while. Let me just find the ship here.
Yeah, like I said, it's not a big deal.
We have, right?
Yep, we got plenty of people. If it doesn't,
Well, I'm not going to use any momentum because A, we don't have any, and B, if we are going to do the thing that generates it, that's all for Carava, so I'll just roll my roll straight.
Ow, stupid trash can. Alright, so you have the success. Let's see if the ship with sensors and science can give you a momentum. And after that, because we do have new players, I will immediately explain what just happened mechanically. So, as I'm sure I've mentioned before, being a 2D...
No complication.
That's good. Being a 2D20 system, the results of reason and science is math bad, 17. And you want to get under 17 with 2D20, which is likely with the science officer. So he's got 1 success there. The ship did not assist with its sensors and science. But I can go ahead and tell you that you are detecting a tiny bit of Trill DNA.
Right, okay. Does it look as though this is something that it's hung on to because it was in a Trill, or does it look as though this is something that has been added to it independent of it being inside a Trill?
That would be a momentum spend, which you do not have. However, if you want to give me threat, I will give you the answer to that question.
You know what? I'm feeling generous. Plus, that's a really important question to clear up. So yeah, I'll give you that threat.
All right. It has been injected into the parasite.
Right. Okay. This also explains partly why it might be able to leave without, absolute destruction. Because yes, whilst removing the symbiote from a Trill kills it, not all of the time. Like if it's a really fresh connection, and yeah.
Yeah. So now, would you like to do anything else with this neuroparasite? So this thing is still alive. So you could, I'll throw out, if you could think of another option, that's fine. But I will throw out two options that would immediately come to mind. Number one, dissection. Obviously, this will kill it. However, it would give you a bit more information as to the inner workings of the creature, and also give you information as to the actual structure of the creature. And the second thing you might be able to try is a behavioral analysis, which is kind of like what they do with mice, and they put them in a maze and see what happens. You could do something similar to that. I would let you decide exactly what you do, like if you physically put it in a maze, or if you do something else, maybe you stab it with a pen or something, I don't know. But that will... So, if there's anything else, like I said, that you can think of...
Sadly, I am an upstanding Starfleet officer rather than a wretched Romulan, and as a result of which, this is effectively a POW. You know, this is a sentient creature that we have got. It's fully capable of complex thoughts, and yeah, no, in Vosky's mind, and I imagine in the ethics of Starfleet, we essentially have a POW here. So he's not going to do anything that's going to cause it pain. He's definitely not going to dissect it alive, vivisect it. He's not going to do anything that would be an ethical breach along those lines. And some non-painful behavioral experiment subject would be useful. Chiefly trying to work out what it's attracted to. So giving it various forms of
probably brains,
stimuli.
to be honest.
Yeah, but giving it various different forms of how to phrase it. Taking a chemical secretion from synthesizing a chemical secretion with the replicators from lots of different known sapient species, and seeing which ones it wants, which ones it doesn't, or if it has no preference. And yeah, seeing that. And yeah, maybe later on trying to work out some way of communicating with it without putting it inside a host.
Okay.
But yeah, he's got a POW here, so he's going to treat it like one.
So Centurion Drusilla, the medical officer who has volunteered to assist you, completely disagrees. As a Romulan, she considers it no better than a bug and suggests not only that you should dissect it, but you should also poke it with as many sharp things as possible and see how it reacts. However, if you decide not to do this, she will not assist you in this task. Dr. Nari, on the other hand...
But it's just like torturing this fucking thing?
Well, she's a Romulan.
Jab.
Dr. Nari, on the other hand, the Dosai exchange officer that was assigned to the Starbase 123, is all for your way of thinking and will assist. However, the nature of her assist being more brutish, it means that the complication range will increase by 1. And you will not get a ship assist. So that basically gives you a choice. Do you want Dr. Nari to assist with an increased complication range, or do you just want to try to do it yourself? The difficulty is 3.
Difficulty is 3. We don't have the momentum, so we'll try for Dr. Nari's assistance with the increased complication range, and Vosky will turn to the Romulan, who will not be assisting, and say, whilst I appreciate that there may be some difficulties in terms of perception, the creature is, after all, far from humanoid. Starfleet has extended protections of sapient life to near subatomic creatures, artificial creatures, and something that was mistaken for a sentient mineral. The definition of sapience can be broad. I imagine that's not going to have any effect on her, but Volsky being...
You know what?
Starfleet being Starfleet.
Roll presence and science with a difficulty that will be opposed by her. So whatever she gets, you have to get
like
better.
Starfleet speaking, she's like, oh, god.
She's like, damn it, I know you're right, but...
Fortunately for her, I don't have any applicable foci, so...
No, 9,
actually,
not 99.
Xenobiology? Would that be an applicable foci here? That's really pushing it.
Sure, yeah, because, I mean, the neuroparasite is pretty far from anything humanoid. Oof. You convince her, so you will actually get 2 assists on this next one. However, I am going to spend a threat and have the neural parasite attempt to escape from your whatever clutches that you have it in. Let me
right.
actually show you guys where you are at, because that's important. So, yeah, as you could tell, you're standing there. You've got Drusilla over there. You've got Nari over there. You've got a scan over here of the parasite if it was in a host, and then you have the actual parasite there. And I am going to roll to see if this is actually the creature that has been trying to infect Karava. Let's see.
This is the best print screen yet. Yeah, this is amazing.
Let's see here.
I don't know what this technology does, but it glows green and is therefore impressive.
Well, I literally just typed in. First of all, I typed in Romulan Science Lab, got nothing. So I was like, okay, Romulan Lab, got nothing. Green Lab, got this.
Nice. I love how it's just like a normal human and then there's just like a penis head. It just looks so weird.
Look, that's what Zeronites look like, okay?
I hadn't seen that before you said
Yeah,
that.
same.
Really, I almost didn't want to say it because it's like it just ruins the picture. But
Yeah, I get it now. Yeah.
Ruins? You mean improve?
he's like that Futurama. Like there's like those like heads. That's what he is. He's just a small head.
All right, so he rolled a 3, so he's like skittering away from whatever you've got. I'm assuming you've got like some kind of quarantine field around you, so that even if it does get out of the little container you have it in, it's not going to escape the quarantine field. But I'm still going to need you to go for it with a control.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'll allow science. Maybe you got some forceps and you're trying to like grab it without hurting it. Control and science. You've got to get more than 3 though in order to actually catch it.
Okay, well, since this is further analysis of the creature, and I've already succeeded at one science roll that was analysing the creature, I'm going to activate the talents of testing a theory and theory into practice, which will decrease the difficulty by 1 and give me an extra dice.
Okay, difficulty 2.
And I've got the 2 assists, so I'm not going to use a determination spend at this point,
Well,
but I will give you 1 point of threat to roll
so
the dice.
this is actually an interrupted event, meaning this is not the actual behavioral analysis part. This is just it tried to escape. Now you have to grab it. So
Oh, okay.
I can have one of them assist. However, the complication range will increase even further, being that they might actually just step on it and kill it. So it's up to you if you want them to assist or not.
Oh, in that case, don't assist so as not to increase the complication range and just kill the creature, but I will still use a point of threat to get 4 dice.
All right, back up to what I was at.
Ooh.
Wow.
So I meet the level.
You
I
definitely
succeed,
do.
but with a complication.
Oh, you catch it all right, or it catches you. So you grab it in the tongs, and it just jumps onto your hand, and it crawls up your arm. So I'm gonna need you to wait a second, because we're gonna come back to this scene. Don't you worry.
Holy shit! Welcome to 8 people in one party, and half of them are infected.
Right. Meanwhile,
I can beam people into space.
This whole thing just becomes a hidden roll game.
Meanwhile, in an infirmary, we have Shamar just sitting on the woman's chest.
Yep. He's sitting in every scene. It doesn't matter. He's always sitting.
But yeah, you see Karava over there with the other parasite that's crawling up her arm and towards her mouth. So, Karava, what do you do?
I might try and use a determination and try and look the thing away from me.
All right, let's see.
And anything else I can use.
I'm gonna look and Angstrom, do you want to use your spirit of determination to give you guys 3 momentum?
Yeah, let's go ahead and do that.
Okay. So does that put you at 3 momentum, or did you have some before? Did you guys have some before that? I don't think you did. Three momentum. Okay.
No, we didn't have momentum. We
All
just hit the thresholds
We were
exactly.
spending threat instead of momentum earlier.
Yeah, that's right. So determination, puzzle solver, probably not. Just gonna throw that out there. Violent, solve nothing. I'm saying if you're swatting at a bug coming at you, then you're being pretty violent. People person, this is not a person. Always there to lend a hand. Yes, please be that one. Always there to lend a hand. You know what? Because of the wordplay, I'll allow that one. You're just. Go ahead. And it's gonna be it's gonna be a daring and security. So you're gonna have to. Let's see. The normal difficulty, I'm gonna say would be 2. I'm gonna increase it to 3 with a threat that I was just given. Thanks, Edford. So yeah, go ahead, and you've already got 2 successes. Oh, but I am increasing the complication range to 4.
Where is the determination?
Yep, I've already counted that in. You already have 2 successes, so you just need 1 more. But I have increased the complication range.
Alright. Well, I use 1 determination to get a dice roll of 3. Just
Yep.
in case.
So and to explain what that is, so if you look at your values, you can basically use a determination with a value, and that will either allow you to re-roll something bad that you've already rolled terribly, or it will let you have a free dice that is already rolled a 1, which is critical success. So basically, he's already got 2 successes with a critical success, and now he just needs to roll. Let's see if you have any focuses though. Espionage, no, sorry. Diplomacy, no. Persuasion, that's stretching it. Investigation, infiltrate, none of those. I'm sorry. I don't think any of those focuses will apply in this situation. You went hardcore spy, didn't you?
Oh no.
Oh yes. But the good news is you did swat it away. The question is, you have a complication. Do you want to spend 2 momentum? Oh, did you use a momentum to get an extra dice? I guess you did.
Yeah.
Alright, so you're down to 2. Do you want to use the last 2 momentum to get rid of that complication?
It's up to
I mean, if the complication is something like then shame army having to fight it off, I would recommend spending momentum.
Yeah.
Why would I
get rid of this thing? We have another one in the lab, so
alright, so
fucking destroy it.
But we hope we have another one and that it's not going to get into.
Yeah, we hope. That's very good. That's a very good point.
Now,
to our
There'll still
knowledge,
be one in the lab. Mr. Fosky it'll be inside Fosky as well. Yeah.
so if I remember correctly, last game you said that you were only going to try to swat it away because it would have been more difficult to try to grab it. So it's been swatted away, but now I need someone to actually catch it because it's gonna try to find another host.
has anyone like ordered us to not kill it? Because I feel like Shamar's first instinct would just be like pull out a phaser, but he's not gonna do it without permission.
I'm gonna suggest to I'm gonna suggest to phase it because if it gets into somebody else, it's like
Done.
it's
High five.
trying to actively damage people.
Yeah, control and security to fire your weapon. Difficulty is normally 2. I'm increasing the difficulty to 3 because it's so small and running away.
Okay, hold on. You said it was control and which one?
Security.
Okay, and then how?
You need 3 successes.
3 complication. Can I use one of my determinations here?
Yeah. What value are you calling upon?
Something to prove.
All right, that works. So you've already got 2 successes. You just need 1 success. Do not get a complication, or you will be shooting the floor. And
okay. So how does
space.
determination come in here? Does it go down to 2 complication?
Ooh, hold on. I gotta look at your character sheet and see what you're talking about because I don't know what you're talking about.
The determination.
So determination, you automatically you see where it says determination. You just click on that, and that means you spent 1.
Yeah, exactly. But what does that mean?
That means you already have 2 successes. So all you need is 1 success.
Okay, dope.
Yeah. So
complication range 3, task roll 2.
No,
right?
complication range stays at 1. I haven't increased it unless you want me to.
No.
And then you just
Still
roll
just a little rusty on that.
Unless you're spending, I don't think you have any momentum left. You just roll the dice, and you have your 1. So you shoot it. Do you have a rifle, or is it just a Type 2 phaser?
Ooh, I mean, I like the idea of me having a rifle, if I can.
Well, you're on a ship.
That
You have to
sounds
give me
cool.
a threat if you had a rifle. You're on the
Okay, we'll say phaser.
Okay,
We'll
type
say,
2 phaser.
like, maybe he had the rifle on the actual ship, but he's, like, on the other side. He's on his ship now.
Right. All right. So you shoot it with your Type 2 phaser, and it just burns, gone. All right.
I look at the commander, and I'm like, we had to.
And meanwhile, Lieutenant Commander Frost is just lying there, looking around like, "What's going on? Let me out of here."
Doctor, I'll kind of look to her. It's like, maybe you can, console this woman who's probably terrified.
I'm gonna suggest scanning the ship for the escape slug.
You're gonna do what? Can you repeat that?
Can we scan the ship for? Is the slug still? Is the slug still wriggling around? Can we still see it?
It's
no,
vaporized.
I shot it with a phaser. Yeah.
Oh, you vaporized it. Oh, okay.
Yep, it's gone. But you do have the woman lying there. So what do you guys want to do with her?
I might take a scan or two just to make sure that there's nothing else lingering within her.
All right.
Yeah.
If no one else says anything, I don't imagine a Cardassian consoling her as her idea of like a good bedside manner. But I'll just say, you were infected with some sort of neural parasite. What's the last thing you remember, Frost?
So she's gonna reply, but I need a roll. So it's gonna be presence and medicine, or presence and command. So if you want to assist with presence and command, Shamar, you may. But
Sure,
the medical officer is going to roll presence and medicine.
And then, okay, because I'm just scanning her, I'm not talking to her too. If I'm
Oh, sorry,
to her,
I
feel like my...
You're right. Sorry, Shamar got me off track. So go ahead and roll reason and medicine, and go ahead. Yeah, and you're using a tricorder, right? Or
I'm using my tricorder.
yeah, okay. So go ahead and roll reason and medicine, and then we'll go from there.
I'm just checking if any of my focuses will help, because that's not the best roll I'm gonna have. I don't know if emergency medicine would count as a focus. That would apply.
I mean, if she was still infected or, halfway infected, then, but, like, as far as you can tell, actually, you know what? Go ahead and use it, because you do detect some blood coming out of her, dripping down her cheek from her mouth, from the corner of her mouth. So this may be an emergency situation. You don't know yet. So go ahead and use it.
And then, sorry, what was the complication range again?
It's going to stay on 1. It's pretty much always going to stay on 1 unless I specifically spend threat or unless something horrible happens. Alright, so your scan reveals that there was a neural parasite in her and it is no longer in her. However, you are detecting a lot of internal hemorrhaging from her upper chest cavity up to basically the back of her skull, where it looks like someone just dug around in there. And you not only do you see the blood coming out of her mouth and her ears, but you also see like her face begins twitching involuntarily, and you could tell that she has a lot of neurological damage.
Oh shit.
I think this woman needs to go into surgery, so anyone who's not medical, I'm gonna need you guys to leave.
You got it. Let's go. I'm gonna start pushing everybody out.
And I will say that your presence command did assist in like keeping her calm. Like otherwise she'd be like writhing on the table trying to either escape or hurt somebody.
Right on.
All right, so we're gonna jump to another scene while the doctor and the lieutenant commander are doing their thing. Engineering. Kamina is surrounded by her colleagues in engineering as they've just finished their diagnostic. The warp core and the power systems of the Dicarius looks fine. Everything looks good. A lieutenant walks up to you and basically gives you a report and then heads back over to a console. Is there anything else that Kamina would like to do in engineering?
We're heading back to the starbase, right?
Yep, you're about, at this point, 15 minutes out.
Okay. And did anything that would have damaged the ship happened in the last episode? I wasn't here last week.
No.
No.
Nope.
If everything looks okay, then I think I would just review the sort of diagnostics that we've done and have people make sure that that tractor beam is holding it's towing the other ship.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just doing a quick thing on another page. Where's the space one? There it is. So when you look at the tractor beam that's towing the other ship, you go ahead and make a reason engineering roll, difficulty 1.
Does my deflector shield force field technology focus apply here?
Are you specifically
Mostly
looking at
the force field side?
the force fields? Yeah. Yep. That's fine. You guys are the force field crew. Nothing but force fields.
We really are, though. It's so.
Yeah, we are.
I will spend a threat to get an extra die because I'm
Okay.
bold that way.
All right.
Our ultimate end game is we just have a ship that's a power generator unit and just force fields for a hull.
Yep. No one ever gets in.
I'm just
4
gonna
successes.
roll for the ship real quick.
Oh, and I didn't even say
They
my
board our
focus
ship
apply.
and they board our ship and they're met like 25 sets of force fields. Like,
What were you saying, Kamina?
I didn't actually click the focus button, so I'm just looking
Okay.
at my rolls to see if. And I hate reading these, but I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either of those ones are.
Yeah, one's
are
an 8, one's a
actually
10.
2s.
So you have 5 successes with the ship total, so that gives you guys 4 momentum, Mac. So you guys are up to, I guess, 4 momentum. You detect, first of all, the tractor beam is locked on fine. You guys are at warp with the tractor beam, which is fine. Everything looks good there. The force fields mostly all seem to be kind of in where they were when you guys left them. However, you are detecting 2 things that seem very, very upsetting. Number 1, there is a massive power surge in the warp core, and number 2 is a couple of escape pods are basically being prepared for ejection.
Well, I don't like either of those things, and I'm immediately going to assume that they're linked together. So I want to either lock down the escape pods or tell security that that's happening, and then fix the overload that's happening in the warp core, more importantly.
Okay.
Which is probably why I'm telling security to deal with the escape pod situation.
Right. So, Mr. Shamar, you're gonna get
I
that.
hear that over the
Yep.
communicator.
Yep. I'll let you decide how you want to take care of the escape
Yeah.
pods.
He just full Starfleet. You know, Shamar security. We got something going down in the drop pod area. Deck 14. Meet me there. And jumps into the turbo lift and goes.
All right. So. Okay. Are you how are you? Hold on. Let me move you guys to.
Shamar would just essentially call his security team, call them all to converge on that position, and he would do the same.
So
I think the pods are escaping on their ship.
yeah, the Olympus.
On the opposite
Olympic
ship.
Yeah. So that's why I'm asking, like, how do you?
I thought it was on our ship as well.
Yeah, same. Okay.
No, as far as the GM knows, you were scanning the Olympic. I have no clue that you were scanning the Warbird. I thought you mentioned a tractor beam and some force fields, so I assumed you were scanning the Olympic.
Yeah, that makes sense. I assumed that I just thought you were talking about our ship.
Yeah, same here. So what's going on?
Everything on your ship is perfectly normal besides the escaping parasites. The Olympic.
Okay, yeah. So
is-
I don't think he would have even called me.
The Olympic is currently undergoing a few escape pod preliminary pre-checks to eject, and their warp core is in the pre-stages to overloading.
Okay, in that case, then I would contact our transporter chief there to beam those escape pods directly into a cargo bay or something on our ship.
Yes.
While I deal with so it's the Olympics warp core that's about to overload.
Yes.
While I
I'll go ahead and tell you
how
how
heroic am I going to be here? Let me just look at my values.
I'll tell you that as a chief engineer, you know for sure you can't do anything from your ship unless you have like some crazy command level codes to it. But more or less, you're like, this is something that's going to happen in like 45 seconds. So your brain is telling you the only two things you can think of.
Deactivate the tractor beam and maybe switch it to push it away from us more.
Now, you do manage to get the escape pods that are about to eject. Or do you want to get the escape pods, or do you want to get the people that are getting into the escape pods?
The people.
Okay.
And as many people as there are on that ship that we can find.
All right. So, for the sake of, because there's nobody, as far as I know. Actually, what's Colonel Lex doing? Is he on the bridge still?
Yeah, he's on the bridge.
All right. So, Colonel Lex, you get this message that you need to relay commands to transporter room to beam people up from the Olympic. So, if you want to do that, I will allow you to use your transporter chief for your presence and command roll, and I will roll for the ship.
Yeah, he'll do that, and he'll transport them into cargo bay and make sure they're locked in there. Cargo bay.
Alright, so presence and command, difficulty is 1. And so +2 to momentum, so you're at 6 momentum. Your sensors are telling you that you are... Actually, I am going to roll to see how many people you actually have, because I don't think I specified how many people actually beamed onto the Olympic. You have 9 personnel of unknown allegiance in a cargo bay. I'm assuming behind a force field, because I'm not an asshole GM. Oh, they have their weapons. They're just going to go around shooting everyone. Yeah. So they're in behind a force field. Their weapons are deactivated. You've got 9 people. Let me write that down, actually. 9 POWs. All right.
And I'll tell the security chief where they are.
You got it. You want me to go there, or?
Yeah, he'll mention it. I got 9 POWs at cargo bay. The cargo bay on deck 14. Oh.
Sure. Yeah.
And
then he'll do the Starfleet line. Security. Let's go ahead and just confine these guys in deck 14. Yeah.
Okay. And the security officer on the bridge deactivates as you're in warp, deactivates the tractor beam, and you see the Olympic just kind of floating end over end until probably 30 seconds later. On your sensors, you see it just exploding. As far as you can imagine, it's some sort that the intruders that had boarded it were just trying to either escape or cause as much damage as Romulan-y possible. All right. So, is there anybody wants to do something? Is there anything anyone wants to do quickly before we jump to the runabout that's bringing new crew members to Starbase 123?
I'll just go ahead and. So it was. I was just kind of told to confine these guys. I'll just kind of hit up the colonel and say, do we want to speak to these guys? You want to wait on that? What are your orders?
Yeah, I want to speak to them. I want to speak particularly to a Romulan lieutenant that I interacted with in the engineering on the Olympus. But he
is not among them.
Oh.
More than likely, he was one of the ones.
You just said 9 random people, essentially.
Yep. More than likely, he was one of the ones in engineering, preparing to explode engineering.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just divide them up. Scan them and divide them up into worms and not worms. Because I've got a suspicion that the Romulan traditionalists, they don't know that they're getting controlled by the worms.
Alright, so we're gonna jump to Starbase 123. Well, you're not there yet. You're 10 minutes out. Starbase 123. The USS Silent Odyssey is still patrolling. Meanwhile, a runabout approaches with about a dozen Starfleet cadets and junior officers to kind of replenish some of the individuals aboard the starbase, as well as on USS Silent Odyssey, and of course the Dicarius, who has lost probably 99% of their crew.
Oh, God.
Yeah. When you go from 1,500 to 50, and then half of those are controlled by parasites, you know. But yeah, so the runabout is arriving. I'll start with let's see, randomly, Hamelin. How is Hamelin on long trips? This has probably been a couple weeks at maximum warp. You guys have bunks in the back, but they're all in the same compartment, the same room. How does Hamelin deal with a situation like that?
He's quite all right with this. As sort of a con officer, this is a lot of what he was doing back on this previous deployment on the Trigoran. Does he know anything about the situation on the Dicarius, or even that its crew is diminished so badly? Like,
all he knows.
In this, he's being transferred.
Yeah, him and Tekis and pretty much everyone on the runabout, all they know is they've been told that this is a standard replenishment of officers and crew to various ships out in the frontier. However, they would have also heard through various channels, perhaps even rumor, that the neuroparasites are back, and that's kind of one of the reasons why there's such chaos out there, and they keep replenishing troops, so and crew members and officers over and over again. But that's pretty much all that you two would know.
Okay. Hamlin's a fairly quiet young man and doesn't interact with the other cadets as much unless he's approached. But during these last 20 minutes or so, he's probably sitting in his bunk with a pad or something similar, just going over Romulan protocols, what titles to call superior officers, the differences between Romulan consuls. He doesn't want to disappoint himself in Starfleet by making any mistakes like that.
Okay. And what is Cadet Tekis doing? A Romulan who's in Starfleet being assigned to the Romulan front, so to speak.
He's also nervous as he has no idea what's going on here and just trying to get information. He started his career trying to be a diplomat between the two places and figured Starfleet was the best place to learn that. And now weird things are happening after he's graduated, so it's like, whoa, weird timing.
Indeed. As the runabout approaches the starbase, should I spend threat? Nah. It expertly is guided into one of the shuttle bays. Definitely does not crash into the sides of the walls, and it lands, and the pilots get out and basically escort the officers, cadets, and enlisted crew members off of the runabout. And the first individual that you meet is a Denobulan woman. I will find a picture. Mainly I'm pretending to find the picture, but really I'm going to look up her name again because I keep forgetting. Captain Afuli, you would have gotten a brief about Captain Afuli. She is actually standing with Senior Chief Petty Officer Idril, and he is a Betazoid, and they are standing there waiting for their new arrivals. And they don't say anything at first. They wait and see. A lot of when the officers get out, like the lieutenants and the ensigns and the officers that have been there for a while, they get off and they just immediately snap to attention and kind of give the senior officers and the senior enlisted person excuse me, a nod, and kind of they don't move really until they nod back, and then once they nod back, they go off to their quarters or wherever they're assigned. So how do you approach the situation? Do you do similarly, or do you approach them, or do you just kind of say screw it and bounce to your quarters, or your temporary quarters, I should say? I'll start with Hamelin.
I would do similarly, as for now I'm not going to shake the boat until I have more information.
Okay, and Hamelin?
Hamelin will follow suit a little bit, like hesitantly, like he still doesn't know what he's doing a little bit. So he's a second behind all the rest of the officers, but he follows their lead.
Okay. You guys, would it be safe to say that you guys are in the middle of the group of officers, or are you hanging towards the back, or are you like, I'm going first? Like, where in the gaggle of people are you?
I would be more in the middle.
Okay.
Fourth in line.
Okay.
I don't know how many there are, but yeah.
About a dozen.
But more. Yeah. Okay. A third of the way through. Perfect.
All right. So as you guys are moving towards the cargo bay doors to head out into the starbase proper, you hear a male voice behind you say, "Cadet Tekis, Ensign William Hamlin, report." And when you glance over, you see it's the senior chief petty officer, the chief of security of the starbase. And he's looking at a pad, and it looks like he's looking around. This isn't like there's only one shuttle and one group of individuals. There's like 6 shuttles with a bunch of people milling about. So they really didn't, they were looking in your general direction, but they didn't have. It's not like they were like, oh, that's definitely them, because they have so many people to kind of look around at to try to find. So he's at this point he's just calling out names. Tekis, Hamlin.
I look over to the person calling for me, and I move over as kind of quickly as possible, as I'm here to report.
Okay.
As much fun as it would be to lead a hide-and-seek game at the station, I'll do the same.
Oh, that reminds me. Me and Mac and another player were playing Star Trek Online one time, and we got so bored of the story that we just went to Starfleet Academy and played hide-and-go-seek there. It was the best time we had in that game.
Yep.
But anyway, so yeah, you report and you stand there, and go ahead and let's do some rolls. Go ahead and give me an insight and command. So for attributes, just click on insight, and then for disciplines, click on command, and then see if you have a focus. If you have anything like diplomacy or composure or psychology, anything that would help give you insight as to what the heck is going on, you can use that. But otherwise, or maybe Starfleet Protocol.
If you have 2 of those,
It doesn't. They don't stack.
okay, so it's just one. The complication range would be 1 with task roll of 1.
Yep. Well, task roll 2.
Click the button. Oh, task roll 2.
Yep.
Okay. And
2d20.
that button.
Yep. Just click the.
right.
I think it's the comm badge button. I have to double check, but.
Yeah, the comm badge right next to the task roll.
Yep. All right. And
Do you mind? I have a focus and composure.
that'll work. Nice. So the first thing, Tekis, that you notice is the captain of the starbase is she, as far as you can tell, she's got a smile on her face, but it looks kind of off. Not like Doctor, not like Doctor. Kind of, but it's not like Dr. Flock's off, where it's like the big V that scares children. It's more like she's obviously putting on a facade, but you're not sure if it's for you, for your benefit, or for her security chief benefit, or just in general Starfleet's benefit. You can't tell anything from the chief of security. He just looks like a typical, for a Betazoid, he looks very stoic. He's not betraying any emotion that you can tell. But you can definitely tell by the captain's kind of attempt at a smile that there is something odd going on, something that makes her a bit nervous. As for Ensign Hamlin, you notice the same thing, except with the security chief, he is, for some unknown reason, eyeing Tekis as if he murdered his second cat last Thursday. He's not like in a murderous rage, but he definitely, you can see distrust in his eyes. You can see kind of a bit of resentment there.
Oh, that makes sense. Tekis is used to that look, so he overlooked.
Poor cat.
Poor Spot.
I think keep it to myself. I'm not going to call out the senior personnel in front of anyone. They have something to tell us, so I'll listen and see what they have to say.
Okay.
You guys are mean.
So as you stand in front of them, Captain Ufuli says, "Greetings, Mr. Tekis, Mr. Hamlin. You are both going to be assigned as Chief Helmsman and Navigator to the Dicarius. The Dicarius has not arrived yet. It is on a special operation. However, when it does arrive, I expect you to be at our conference room for a meeting in 2 hours' time. Is that understood?"
Yes, ma'am.
Of course, Captain.
Good. I'm glad to have met you. And then without really any kind of pleasantries, which is weird for Denobulans because they're all about like, you know, pleasantries and being super compassionate and everything. She just turns and like, you know, walks away. Just and the security chief is left there and he looks between both of you and it's almost like he's going to say something, but then he just sighs and says, "See you in a couple hours," and then turns and walks out a different door that the captain left.
Can I tell like they're either hiding something or they're holding back information?
Sure, roll a insight and security this time. Difficulty is 2. So you have to get 2 successes.
Complicate.
Nope.
So
you just got to get. So you're rolling 2 dice. You just need those both 2 to succeed. So if you don't have a good chance of that, this is where you spend momentum. So you have 4 momentum in the group pool. So you could say, you know, that you want to spend 1 momentum to get an extra dice. Then you would move that task roll up to 3. But it is still going to be, the complication is still going to be 1.
What insecurity?
Insight. That's pretty much my go-to for
insight,
everything.
Yep.
Now you can't tell what it is.
And I take this at face value as like they just greeted us, and that's pretty special.
Yeah, definitely. All right. So we're going to jump back to Vosky. Vosky, you've got a bug to catch.
I do. So it's crawling.
One way or another.
It's crawling up the. From our best knowledge of these creatures, they only ever go in through the mouth, don't they?
So in the actual show, they're only seen exiting, and they're only seen exiting through the mouth. However, I assume that's how they enter as well. You know, just breaking through the throat lining or whatever. However, there are shows and other movies and books and stuff where a parasite can go through the ear. However, those things look way too big to be able to fit through an ear. However, you know, sci-fi. So who knows?
Sci-fi, indeed. Well, Vosky's not going to panic too much because it's basically impossible to get in through his mouth.
True.
But
thanks for reminding me.
Nonetheless, take this seriously. It's like, okay, this could maybe go into my ear. So I'm guessing it's going to be a control science roll to get this thing off.
Well, let me ask you a question. On a level of 1 to 10, 10 being Vulcan-like and 1 being panicked 7-year-old in a Walmart that's been abandoned, where is his composure level?
What a fucking analogy! Oh my god!
Yeah, I'm gonna say in this situation with low being good and high being bad, I'm gonna say about a 3 or a 4. He's not Vulcan-like.
Then you're at this point you're not. Well, a 3 and a 4 is negative. That's like panicking. So is that what you meant?
Oh, okay. I saw no, because you said like 10 was a 7-year-old.
No, the opposite. I said 10 was the Vulcan.
Right.
1 was the 7-year-old.
Well, in that case, it's going to be
like a 7,
6 or 7.
6, 7. Okay, then yeah, I'll say control and science. If you were in the other direction, I would say daring and security. But you're basically at this point. So like, there are 2 types of people in my worldview. There's the type of people where when a bug lands on your shoulder, you just reach over and take it and put it back out to where it needs to go. And then there's people that run around screaming, hitting at themselves. So if you were the latter type, you would have been rolling daring and security.
Okay. Well, what's the difficulty of this possibly very important roll?
I'm not gonna make it contested because that's getting redundant. I'll just say it's an even 2.
Okay. In that case,
because it's not super fast, but it is really small and very like jittery.
Yeah, we've got 4 momentum, so I'll consume 2 momentum to be able to buy off complications, but roll 4 dice.
Okay.
And yeah, here we go.
Nice.
That's good.
That is definitely good. You got your 2 momentum back, so you're back up to 4 momentum. So you got it. What do you do with it? It's in your hand.
Okay.
Or in your tongs, I'll say.
In the tongs. So in the tongs, we will carefully put it back inside the sort of containment field, and before conducting any further experimentation, revise our containment protocols so this does not happen again.
I just did it for fun. You don't have to worry about it happening again. So now I'm assuming you want to get to the behavioral analysis. Am I correct? All right. That's going to be an insight in science or medicine. Okay. I'll let you decide, but I'm guessing science, being you're a science officer. The difficulty is 3. However, you are going to be assisted by Dr. Nari. Oh, and you did convince Drusilla, if I remember correctly. So let me bring her back. She just went to get a snack. She's coming right back. If I remember correctly. I think you did.
I think she wasn't there when the bug escaped. I think she would have killed it.
She went off to get a snack, and we just see her popping a bug into her mouth deliberately.
All right, so if I remember correctly, you have convinced her with, I think you got like a 3 successes.
Yeah.
So she is going to assist. You don't have an assist from a ship, but you do have an assist from 2 medical officers. So I will go ahead. Just let me know how you want to handle it. If you want to buy dice or use a determination, it's a difficulty 3.
Difficulty 3. I'm not going to buy dice, but since I'm continuing doing studies on this thing, I'm going to get an extra dice through the testing a theory and theory into practice talent combo.
Okay.
God, I love that combo.
That is a good combo.
Which also brings the difficulty down to 2. And here we go. E. That's 4.
Where's Nari? Probably not on that one. Yeah, I moved her back to Starbase because that's where she's going back to. Alright, so insight and medicine. Alright, so that's a lot. So what the difficulty was what, 3?
3 brought down to 2 with talents. So
alright, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you're 4 plus 5, so you're up to 9 momentum. So you're at 8 momentum plus a bonus momentum. What do you want to do with that bonus momentum?
Okay.
You can wait until I give you the information, or you can...
Please do.
Okay. So the only problem with that is just make sure you don't forget, because I will totally forget. So based on the behavioral analysis... so like previously all the research that had been done when they first invaded the Federation was that these creatures were kind of like a swarm creature, you know what I mean? Like they kind of like bugs where they just swarm everywhere, you know, very instinctive, but then once they get into a host mind, they kind of take on all the attributes of the humanoid, you know, giving the humanoid extra strength and all that good stuff. However, these creatures, as you're like testing it, like once it realizes it's being tested, it doesn't move. Like it's a lot more. I wouldn't say more sentient. It's more intelligent, more deliberate in its actions. Once it realizes what's going on. So like before, you can imagine that it was probably just trying to escape because, you know, why what else would you do? But now once it's realized it's being tested, it's almost like it's giving you the finger, like I'm not doing anything unless you physically touch me, kind of thing.
This somewhat confirms Vosky's thoughts that it didn't need to piggyback onto a host brain to achieve sapience. It was
right.
It was
sentient. Yeah, it had the intelligence. It just didn't have the neurological forward thinkingness of a humanoid brain. Like it still had that. I mean, if just looking at them, they're still tiny parasites. They, you know, so it'd be like, you know, taking an animal brain and putting it in a person. You know, after some training, that it would probably learn how to act like a person. And over the years of evolution, it's basically been able to be like, okay, well, I'm in a Vulcan, I'm gonna act like a Vulcan. I'm in a human, I'm gonna act like a human. But as far as you can tell from this, there is something going on a behavioral in a behavioral way that suggests that it is transcending that normal instinct behavior.
With the aim of establishing a communication method with it in bug form in mind, what are its sensory inputs? What's its equivalence of eyes, nose, ears, etc.? So we can.
sorry, I'm back. Family. What was that?
Sorry, I don't know. So, what are its perception senses? Touch, smell, sight, sound, etc. in bug form?
Are you asking what you can smell or what it can smell?
What it can smell, because
okay.
this is Vosky trying to work out how to create a method of communication, and so of course he needs to appeal to the right senses.
Right, and I'm definitely not going to memory alpha right now. For sure, that's definitely a smart question. I will definitely give you the answer to that question in a
I actually have
timely.
that memorized. I'm just
yeah,
need to do something.
Because it was totally important to the plot, and I definitely knew you were going to ask that. Yes, okay.
Just going into my mind palace to unlock the answer.
That's amazing.
So the main thing is its little gill thing. Like that's how it breathes. So it still has to breathe oxygen. So you could probably assume that it can also it uses that to smell. You can also probably assume that being as it squeals when you stab it, it can feel normal amounts of pain, from its skin and things like that. And it could and those tendrils on the front of it, the fang-looking things, probably can feel and sense things through that. As far as taste, you don't see any taste buds on it, so you can't really tell about that, but you get a pretty good idea that it has like a generic senses of smell and feeling and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So what Vosky's going to...
By the way, was that your bonus momentum spin?
If it requires a bonus momentum, then yes.
I'm gonna say no. I would say you would determine that based on your behavioral analysis, but you still haven't spent that, so...
I still haven't spent that. But in that case, and this probably will be the bonus momentum, Vosky is going to start working on, at first, just a very basic yes-no communication with it, using those senses. And if it cooperates, then hey, we can work something out. Maybe it works out we're establishing a dialogue. If it doesn't cooperate, then there's no way for him to proceed. But he'll start work on it, and he'll tap his communicator and update the team that my studies are progressing, and I have managed to successfully isolate this creature and have found some peculiarities in its biology. Chiefly that it appears to have been altered to contain shrill DNA before entering a host. I am seeking to establish a method of communication. Yeah.
So do you want to spend that bonus momentum to
try and establish that
to do that
method of communication?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say it's for the most part, it's going to be a one-way conversation. Like, you can definitely tell that it understands, basic forms of, like, 1 for yes, 2 for no kind of thing. But it's still stubborn, and it's still not going to give you anything if it can help it. And you know that. So that still helps you in your research. You know that it's doing that. This isn't like you just found a new animal and you can't tell that it's is this how it normally acts, or is this how, like, for sure it's basically just giving you the finger.
Yeah, to extend the POW metaphor, this is the POW who's not answering any questions.
Right,
He's
or
just
going on a hunger strike. Yeah.
I believe we need a PNG of a middle finger onto the character.
Hell yeah!
All right.
It just raises its sort of rear oxygen intake up, and Whitford's like, "What is this? What is this?" Oh.
Let's jump to the infirmary. I believe you did a scan. You wanted to get in there and do some surgery to see if you can figure out what's going on with her brain and also try to fix her, right, Doctor? Dr. Engstrom.
You're muted.
Sorry, I double muted myself. Yeah, she's bleeding out, so obviously I'm just trying to save her life at this point. Because she might still have... Well, it's my duty as CMO to make sure people don't die, but...
So, just based on your CMO instinct and your scan from earlier, the best options that you have, because right now she's coherent, she can speak. I mean, if you put her under and do surgery on her, she's not going to be able to, but she can speak. So you could try to get as much information from her as possible, or you could put her in a kind of stasis, or kind of, put her under so that she can't speak, but she has more of a chance of surviving. That will still put her at a 50-50 chance if you do that. So it's not the best chance, but it's better than, what it would be. So which route will you take?
Because I thought last time we were here, it was that something had basically ripped around in the back of her neck. So it's like,
yeah, that was me being super, like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, generalized. Like, you can tell by your scan that her, like, as you saw, let me see if I can copy and paste it. Copy, because it's better for me if I have a visual. All right.
And at this point, Shamar and Karava are they still around, or did they leave after I asked?
No, everybody's gone. It's just you.
Yeah. So if you look at the picture, you can tell based on your scan that the parasite, which I believe is this one actually, the parasite had wrapped its tendrils in the spinal cord, and when it came out of her to attack Karava, it wasn't too careful about it. So there was a lot of pain, which then immediately was numbed by the fact that her nerve endings were basically shredded. But then, like, for some reason, and it could be the biochemical compound, which I will go ahead and give you for free. You are finding the same biochemical compound in her body that you found in Drenal. It could be that, but whatever the case is she is still conscious and still able to communicate. But that doesn't mean that she's not going to die anytime soon. She has a 50-50 chance of recovering with medical treatment. So without medical treatment, she's going to eventually, and it could be 5 minutes from now, it could be 5 days from now, but she is going to eventually die. So it's up to you to decide what route to take, because obviously in these situations, time is kind of a factor.
I'm probably going to put her under, especially because I don't know who, like, I think the two other senior medical officers are up with Bosky, so while I'll have some assistance, I think my chances are better if I just try and stabilize her at least.
I'm gonna how much momentum you got? 8? Do you want to spend a momentum to say that one of the medical officers shows up at the time that you need them to? Because that's a thing that can totally happen.
Does Bosky need them?
I don't imagine he does anymore. I didn't care out of game. You've done all the research you could possibly do for this session.
Cool. And also, even if that weren't true, if you were just to tap on the communicator and say,
right,
emergency surgery, I need assistance, Vosky will release every resource he can.
Yeah. So it's up to you if you want to. It's one. I'll even say it's one momentum for both of them to show up. It's up to you.
Okay, I'll call in some reinforcements.
All right. So I'll have. Oh, yeah. Healer Nari and Centurion Drusilla show up. Centurion Drusilla, seeing a Starfleet officer, is more than willing to help. However, she is aware that this was a parasite-controlled being, and although she knows that she may not know it now, but if made aware that Lieutenant Commander Frost is no longer controlled by a parasite, she will still kind of have reservations, because clearly this person has the same biochemical compound as Drenal. However, it's a Starfleet officer. She's been trained to be allies with Starfleet, so she will do her best to assist. Of course, Dr. Nari, being a Federation civilian doctor, is down to assist as well. So it's just one momentum for both of them.
The scan also helped convince him that there's nothing here now.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going at. Like, I was just bypassing all the minutia to get to that point. Just to give you an idea of where their mental state is going into the procedure. So yeah, Mac, it's only you're at 7 momentum, I think, because it's one. I just said she had to spend 1 momentum for one or for both of them. So.
Also, do they know who I am? Because I don't think I've actually met them yet.
I mean, if you want to take 5 minutes to introduce yourself, it's fine. But they're Centurion Drusilla is the acting CMO because the previous CMO was killed or captured, probably killed. But so like when she sees you working on another Starfleet officer and she hasn't seen you before, the only logical thing to assume is you came on the USS Olympic. So she might be like, "Hey, who are you?" And then when you tell her, she'll be like, "Okay, what's the deal? Let's do this." But it's up to you what you want to say to her.
No, I mean, I might be so focused on trying to save her that if they ask me, I'll just be like, Dr. Angstrom, nice to meet you.
Right.
Help me save her.
Yeah, the typical MASH thing. Okay, so this is going to be, I'll let you decide, and you can look at your stats and tell me what you think would be better. Do you want to do this individually, meaning you roll to put the person under, you roll to do surgery, you roll to do every single thing, or do you want to put it all in a combined roll? It'll be a little bit more difficult, but it will have less chance of kind of failing horribly, depending on obviously how you roll. But it's up to you how you want to do it.
Let's just make it one big roll. You can
All right.
probably throw in momentum, or some of the momentum at least.
Yeah,
and
that's what I was
odds.
thinking. I was looking at the momentum when I was saying that, and I was like, man, you could eat it. There should be no reason to botch this, but who knows? I've seen crazier things happen. Okay, so this is I'll let you decide. It can decide from control, reason, or insight, whatever's your strongest or whatever you feel is necessary. I'll even allow daring, although I don't imagine you're.
My control will be fine.
Yeah, and then medicine, and I will have the other to assist.
And I'm going to use my emergency medicine focus.
Okay.
Well.
Yep, that would definitely apply here. Rolling for Nari.
So complication of 1 then.
Yep. Actually, you know what? I'm spending momentum to increase that to 2. Or I'm spending threat, sorry. Because I can definitely think of complication. So.
And then I would like to spend 1 momentum just to get myself a third aid.
Okay. Oh, and the difficulty is 3. So you have 2 successes with the assists. So you just need 1 more success. Generally speaking, oof.
Oh, for goodness, are you kidding me?
What did I increase the complication range to? Because I've already
I
forgotten.
thought you said it was at 3.
I thought I increased it by 1. Does anyone remember? Because I immediately forget these things as soon as I say it.
I think you said something about threat.
Right, but
I think you only increased it by 1.
yeah, I think it should be 19 and
Yeah.
20. So I think you're fine. It's just a fail. So you have 1 momentum, so you're back up to 7. So you get her sedated, you get her in a stasis chamber, so basically the damage stops spreading, and you're able to kind of try to figure out a way to fix her. Again, I said it's going to be a 50-50 chance. So at this point, go ahead.
Just as far as my talents don't really come in. I had to declare talents before I rolled.
It depends on what the talents are. Some of them specify certain things and certain ways to do things. If it doesn't specify, it's a lot of, Star Trek Adventures is very much a common sense kind of game. It doesn't expect people to be, to know everything. Let me see. Bedside manner, is that the one you're thinking of, or field medicine?
I think that would clear the complication if I use bedside manner. Since I succeeded at this medicine task.
There was no complication.
That's not a complication.
It was not a complication. I said increase complication by 1, and it went up 3 for some reason, so it's fine. So yeah, you are good, and I am going to now roll to see if or when this person perishes. If it's under, I'm rolling a d20. If it's under 10 or under, is fine. If it's 11 to 20, she dies kind of towards the end of the operation. It is a 12. So the last she comes out of her the final stages of it. You're everything's getting sutured back up. She comes out of her what's the word I'm looking for? Sedation, and she says, it was for my sister, as long as my sister's protected. And then her face just goes blank, and her eyes just stare straight ahead as she passes away. So what is next?
Dr. Engstrom probably is momentarily upset and slams a fist against the table and shouts out, "Damn it!"
I think Dr. Nari, or Healer Nari, is in the same kind of vein, and she just like walks up to a wall and kicks it, and Drusilla places a hand on Frost's hand and then looks to you and says, "You gave her the best chance she would have had. There's nothing to be ashamed about or angry about."
This is the most like macho medical team ever. I'm loving it.
Yes, Doctor, she's failed to save people twice now. Anyway. I don't know, I'm sure that's going to affect Engstrom later on. So for now, I guess, she'll nod to the others in the room and say, "Well, thank you for your assistance, and you are right, we did our best." I guess all that's really left now would be to see if we need to do an autopsy, because there was that thing I detected in her.
The biochemical compound, yep. Which, for you guys who may not remember, it is something that the host injects into them prior, or perhaps during or after, but more than likely prior to infestation by the parasite, to be able to allow the parasite to leave without hurting or killing the host. However, there is a 50-50 chance that will still kill the person, but it gives them at least a better chance of survival. So that is why they discovered that there's some kind of alliance going on between the parasites and these other humanoids that have been infested. Not all of them have the biochemical compound, just high-ranking ones. All right, so we're gonna.
Thing I'll probably do, we will just note time of death, and I'll notify. Actually, I don't know I can't remember who is actually in command of this ship right now, but I might just make a. I don't know if I'd calm them, but I might just make a note. I need to let them know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, to be honest, in this kind of game, for me at least, considering the amount of computers that exist, it's, I just assume everyone knows everything instantly, because that's it for me as a GM. It just makes things so much easier. I don't worry about metagaming that much or anything like that. Yeah, so basically a report just gets sent to command, and so Colonel Lex and Colonel Carava both have that report. On the bridge, Colonel Carava, I'm assuming you're on the bridge at this point. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know Shamar went to cargo bay, whatever, to...
Yeah, about that. So I stood outside the cargo bay, but I'm the fucking chief of security here. So, I mean, if I don't get any orders, I'll probably report back to the bridge.
Well, I'm assuming...
Yeah.
Because, I have a security team, right? I don't need to be there myself.
Yeah, no,
I imagine you would just take a station.
Okay, that's fine. So you guys are... about a minute out. You can see on scanners Starbase 123. Is there any final things that you guys want to do before you arrive? Things that take maybe a minute?
Just one small thing,
sure.
Which is that if, as part of everybody knowing everything, Vosky's been informed of the death.
Yeah.
And from what I understand earlier on, a lot of the sort of upper chest cavity was dug out, which is not normal for these parasites.
Again, that was me being super general. What I meant is, so if you're looking at the the scanner, and me as a GM, that's totally my failure. But if you're looking at that, you can see that there are physical parts of the parasite that require more room, because there's literally no room for a parasite in a human neck or a human chest. Nope. And so it would have to burrow its way into there to kind of wrap its tendrils around the neck. So all I meant was you could see the evidence that this creature was literally inside this other creature. That's all I meant.
Fair enough. What I was thinking was it trying to start to dig out enough space inside the ribcage for a queen?
Oh god, that would have been awesome! Damn it, I should have done that.
That's what I was thinking before the trill. That's why I was like, I know where this is going. I was totally thinking it was a trill.
Damn it. Okay, next time, next game. It's for sure gonna happen. Great idea.
Okay.
You're giving him ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah. All Vosky was going to do was ask for the autopsy to very quickly, like within 60 seconds, just rule that out. But it has been ruled out.
Yeah. All right. So you guys arrive. They're not in space. Don't worry about them.
Stop giving him ideas, or they're
just floating in space.
All right.
Pretty sight while you still live.
Is there anything? I already asked that. So yeah. Colonel Lex and Colonel Cravo, you on the bridge get a text message to report to Starbase 123's new renovated conference room in about an hour and a half. So, you guys, do you?
I show up there earlier than that.
I assumed there's a lot of people that will. Is there anything that anyone wants to do prior to that? Because I'm gonna just jump ahead to that time unless there's something that you guys specifically want to do.
So
to be clear, that's literally
knows...
everyone?
That is literally everyone.
Okay, cool.
Go ahead, Colin.
If Kamena knows that we're taking on new crew, she would sort of take some time to look through the records as best she could to determine any hint of Imperial sympathies of any Romulans.
Yeah, okay.
Shamar
And I'll let you deal with that first, and then I'll tell you what Vosky.
Shamar will do the absolutely non-Cardassian thing and welcome them aboard.
Go ahead, Edford.
Vosky is thinking that the biochemical compounds that are being injected ahead of the host accepting the parasite are also Trill DNA based. So he's gonna hopefully this won't take an hour and a half, hopefully it can only take an hour, is run some scans to see if that's the case. And if it is the case, try and analyze the Trill element of the DNA as much as is possible to see if all of these samples are being taken from the same Trill, or if this is multiple Trill.
So for a momentum, I will give you all the answers you want, as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, take it.
All right.
Take it, because that could unravel a huge section of the conspiracy.
So, number one, it doesn't come from the same Trill. Number two, it comes partially from a Trill, but there are other chemical compounds mixed in with it. So it looks like it's some kind of cocktail, 2 parts this, 1 part that, to kind of make the perfect, quote-unquote, perfect solution.
It's like a biological prototype. That's fucking sweet.
But
Pretty
also,
much.
that means that they've got access to multiple pieces of Trill DNA, which is interesting. At this point, we find out that what's that academy called that effectively selects the Trill hosts?
Trill Symbiosis Commission.
Damn, that was fast.
I read Memory Alpha on my days off, okay? I'm sorry.
They're in on it. They're helping.
Maybe.
Okay. Right.
You will
You're becoming almost Romulan in your paranoia.
He's been around you guys too long.
Yeah.
And that is
I've
a
been around
compliment
Romulan.
from Kamena.
Yeah. In a very non-Romulan moment, assuming we do the thing of show up 10 to 15 minutes early, Vosky will bring the entire team up to speed on his discoveries on this front. And so everybody will know that going in.
And I'll also say, so that no one has any, has to worry about it, that the 9 POWs have, as well as the prisoners in the brig, have all been corralled in the brig on Starbase 123. So you don't have to worry about them escaping or them getting away. They're all accounted for. They've been counted 17 times. They're all accounted for. And yes, Darren McShale is the only one that you have met on the Olympic that is among them. The rest are just random Romulans and officers. All right.
I might try and talk to one of the random officers. One that doesn't have a worm. I might try and interrogate one of them at some point.
Do you want to do it before or after the conference?
I'll probably do it after the conference.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and be dice and tell you you're probably not going to have time after the conference, so you might want to get it done down.
Okay, I'll do it before the conference then.
Right.
What rank is the individual?
It depends. Are you looking for a Romulan soldier? Are you looking for a Starfleet officer? Like, what are you looking for?
Also, do you go alone?
Oh, I'll bring the security chief. I'll bring the security chief with
Sweet.
me, but I'm looking for a Romulan officer, ideally.
All right. We'll say you find a sub-lieutenant.
Okay. I'll ask him. I remember on the Olympus, how we tricked that lieutenant into spacing one of the worms.
Yeah.
So I'll ask him his commanding officers, have they been acting strange? Like you're obviously a traitor, but and they're traitors, but have you been atypical?
I have been following my orders from the Republic ever since I was a teenager, sir.
Okay. Did you know that most of your officers have been infected with a neural parasite?
I will not believe these lies.
I'll show him. I'll show him footage of our
Fake news.
Can I just call and just like grab the colonel, like just like pull him into a whisper real quick and just like, to be clear, what are we doing here? What are we asking him? You have not briefed me.
I want to see if I can convince him. Like, well, one, it's actually true, and so we can see what his commanding people were doing, kind of thing, and see like maybe a better eye into the conspiracy.
I think you would know that the lower levels, you know, the Ulans, the sub-lieutenants, and probably most of the Centurions and lieutenants are kept in the darkest part of the darkest dark web. Like, they don't know shit, because when a Romulan commander tells you to do something, even if you're standing next to a Klingon and like a huge mutant worm, you fucking do it and you don't ask questions. So unless you might be able to convince this Romulan sub-lieutenant that something's going on, but you're probably not going to get any information because he probably doesn't know.
Okay, well, I'll ask him though. Did you see the giant worm thing?
He's like, I didn't see anything. Me and my fellow Republican, Romulan Republic officers, we believed that the USS Olympic had been taken over by a failed coup, and we were trying to help. That was my orders. At this point, you'll realize that a lot of the Romulans have been told widely different things. You know, some of them are imperialists that were told, you know, for the Empire, and others are for the Romulan Republic, and they're told we're doing it for the Republic. So clearly, this is typical compartmentalist situation.
Yeah, I think we're.
This kind of confirm my theory that the worms are controlling them instead of like some sort of alliance. I would say.
Right, but it would be the upper echelons. It wouldn't be some random soldier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And even if it was an upper echelon, I mean, I don't really know what we can ask them, because these guys, pretty much every time we've tried to interrogate them, the only thing they got through was like me doing what I did with like threatening to remove them. But beyond that, they've just been completely uncooperative. So I mean, I don't know what we can really accomplish here.
Oh, yeah, that's all right then. I'll just leave him then.
Yeah, Shamar like sees this as a really good challenge and is just like, fuck this isn't gonna work. Just like leaves.
All right, I will move you guys to the new. So you'll realize that this is not the same conference room as before. Apparently they've apparently they've been renovating their conference rooms, and they just got a new one, aka I found a better one on Google. And yeah, so you guys get in there, sit down. You got Captain Afuli is there, SCPO Adriel is there, all of the player characters is there. Centurion Drusilla has been invited, however Dr. Nari has, or Healer Nari has not been. And there is a commander with a commander's pips that only one of you recognizes. Dr. Engstrom will recognize him as Commander Locke, and he sees her and gives her a nod.
Commander Locke.
Hello, how are you doing, Doctor?
Oh, as good as can be expected given our current situation. It's good to see you again, sir.
You as well. I hope we can get this meeting underway and finally deal with these damn parasites.
Okay. Can I ask, out of, like, is he acting as I would expect him? Like, is there anything...
Why would you ask that?
Do I need to roll for that?
Yeah, you do.
Because you just said hi. So that automatically...
Yeah, true. To be fair, I don't know how your NPCs are going to act, so I'm just acting how I think he should act. But yeah, roll insight, command, or security. You can decide. Difficulty... Should it be contested, or should it just be a straight roll? I'm going to say it's a straight roll. Difficulty is 2. And I will give you for free that everyone knows that, like, the neuroparasites, they don't have access to, like, long-term past memories of their host, only recent events. So you're relatively easily able to figure out if they are just by asking, like, what's their birthday and stuff like that.
That's a very, very good point. I forgot about that intro to that episode entirely.
This is why the first thing any neural parasite with time and sense should do is read my personnel entry, read my diary.
Yeah, there is that as well, so that may be a completely moot point, but as far as, like, nuanced memories, they're not going to have it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of this is homebrew, but I won't homebrew that. So roll 2 dice, not just 1. Yep. Alright, so I'll give you the 2. He seems... No, I mean, how long ago has it been since you've seen him? Like a few years, right?
I guess, I don't know. Maybe it's only been a couple months.
Okay. He
however
seems...
long it took the Olympic to go places.
Okay, yeah, he seems pretty normal. Probably a bit more stressed and nervous about the neural parasites being back. That's pretty normal, but otherwise, yeah, he seems like his normal self.
Okay. I mean, for all we know, I'm just already kind of on guard after all the neural parasites I've been running into.
True. So as everyone sits down, Captain Afuli says, "I've just read everybody's reports. Does anyone have anything to add besides what is already in the reports?" And so to clarify that, what I mean by that is if there's something, if it happened in game, it's in the report. If it's something that you as a player or player character was thinking or wanted to tell someone, off to the side, that is not in the report. So assume that all of your research and all of your interrogation and everything like that has been in the reports. So you don't have to repeat what we've already done. Just anything that you guys have to say, your own personal opinions or viewpoints and things like that, essentially.
I would have a suggestion. I'd say, this is far out of my field as a security officer, but I think, similar to the Dominion War, we should develop some sort of, like, screening, so we can screen every single person that walks into this building, make sure that there's no parasite, have a thorough security procedure for every person, for Starfleet, their families, Romulans, everyone. I mean, this is getting out of hand.
And the senior chief petty officer nods, and he stands up and says, "Tricorders work, but they only work in at short range. At that point, if they're possessed, they're already throwing you across the room. We've been able to modify sensors, but they only last for a couple of hours before they return back to their normal high-resolution state. We're not really... Go ahead.
It might just be as simple as every single person that checks into the starbase, the first thing that we do is we just check them with a tricorder and send them on their way. I mean, it seems excessive, but we need to stop this."
And out of character, I'm assuming in the hour and a half that it took you guys to get here, that has happened. So, so like if I as the GM was gonna say that one of you was a parasite, I would have probably made something happen to where someone was split up, and then like been a bit more subterfuge about it. But yeah, in character,
we'll just say it happened, but maybe Shamar's not impressed. Maybe it needs to be a little bit more thorough.
In that case, Commander Locke says, unfortunately, we cannot employ the same kind of methods that the Obsidian Order used to employ. However, I assure you that we're doing our best.
Wow! Shamar shuts up. he gets that face of like, yes, sir, and says nothing else.
The captain gives him a glance.
Inside, he's pissed.
Yeah, the captain glances to Commander Locke.
Smiles too.
The captain glances to Commander Locke but doesn't say anything, and then she says, "Indeed, if we stopped everything we did every time a ship came to the station, we'd never get anything done. However, having people at various sensitive locations with medical tricorders seems to be the best solution for now. We will get our engineers to work on some kind of enhanced sensor grid, but until that could take days or weeks to complete, maybe even months. So until we get something like that established, we need to focus on the mission at hand, and right now that is Mariposa Colony. If memory serves, you sent a report saying that there was a file indicating that there was the Romulan dreadnought that was seen attacking the Olympic, and the SS Alcatraz was in that location. Am I right? She looks to Karava because she's the ranking officer. Is that correct? Awesome. Commander Locke stops her with a hand. Not being super disrespectful, but just like, raising his hand slightly, and says, "There is another thing that we should discuss. There was a space station called Dinar 1 that was recently attacked and destroyed by 4 Klingon Vorchak cruisers. They reported that there was neuroparasites there and that they just wanted to cleanse the entire asteroid field. However, we can't be sure of anything at this point. We just wish we had someone there that could have gathered more evidence."
Ooh, shots fired.
I felt that recovering our ship and our personnel and returning them back here was the more prudent option.
Captain Afuli nods and says, "And I completely agree with that assessment. Running a warbird with 32 individuals is practically impossible. To say that you made it this far is a testament to your teamwork and skill. So I do thank you for that. However, speaking on that end, you do have 2 con officers that I will introduce. Cadet Tekis will be your navigation officer, and Ensign, just looking at a character sheet,
Hamlin. The EO.
Well, yeah. Until I say these names multiple times, I'll probably still forget. But and Mr. Hamlin is going to be your primary helmsman.
You know what? That's going to be a running joke between all of us. We're all going to call him Hamlet, like broccoli.
Hamlin.
Nice. "There is something else that we must discuss," says the captain. "That man, that Darren McShale, he is not who he seems to be. I'm assuming most of you have met him, right?" She looks between Angstrom and Karava and Shamar and a couple of the others.
To be clear, who was this again?
This will be the chief engineer of the Olympic.
Okay, yeah.
She says,
My poker face, I don't reveal it.
Okay. She assumes that you've met him, seeing as how he was on your ship in a brig. She says, as he is one of the only Starfleet officers that you managed to capture from the Olympic, and he does not have a neuroparasite, we had to run, obviously, medical scans on him before we can put him into the brig. We discovered something that makes it seem as if Mariposa Colony is even more relevant than it already is. He is a clone. We do not know of who, but we do know that his genetic markers indicate the significant genetic degradation that would occur during cloning processes. He may be the clone of the original chief engineer, or he could be a clone of someone completely different. We have no idea. But we do know that he was not controlled by a parasite, and he did not, to say the least, I've met him. Yep. To say the least, not only was he not controlled by a parasite, but he did not have the biochemical compound within him, which suggests that he was never intended for control of the parasites, by the parasites, which means he's probably an upper level individual, even more powerful than Mr. Drenal. I'm going to need someone to interrogate him. Someone who's... She looks over to Shamar when she says this, but she also... Shamar, your position... By the way, if you guys want to sit anywhere else, you can. But I will say, in your current position of where you're sat, you could... Idril is looking to you, but she's also glaring at Idril when she says this. She says the typical security interrogation procedures are not going to work on this man. He is far too competent. We are going to have to try something different.
And what is that?
I don't know. That's why I'm leaving it to you to figure it out. You know him better than we do. We know his medicine, his medical background, but you guys might know his behavioral analysis and his psychology a little bit better than we would. So if you could figure out a way to get past that cold exterior, that'd be very helpful to the cause in figuring this mess out.
I just had to
With
get
all
on the
due, with all due
table.
respect, he addresses him directly and says, "With all due respect, what does that mean?
What does what mean?
How do you want me to interrogate this person? You are leaving this in my hands." But earlier called me an Obsidian Order member. I mean, what?
The Captain Afuli looks between. She was looking at everyone, but she looks between Shamar and Colonel Karava, and she says, "I'm not leaving it specifically in your hands. I'm just making it obvious to everyone here." And she kind of glares at Idril again. She says that any kind of applied force against this man is not going to work. You're going to need to try something a bit more cunning than just, we're going to remove your spine.
Out of character question. This person was posing, because I think this happened in the session that I was away, they were posing as a Federation crew member and were then discovered.
Mm-hmm. And as far as personnel files are concerned, it's all on the up and up.
Okay, but they also said we don't know if this person's a clone of the original engineer. Presumably, the original engineer, Starfleet would have the DNA profile of all their crew on record, so presumably they can rule that in or out.
Presumably they could.
Okay, but they haven't. That's curious. All right. Okay.
And Colonel Lex will pop up and says, and talking, and he looks at the commander. And even talking won't even work.
Exactly my point. We have tried almost everything. The only thing that worked was threatening with removing them.
Like I said, he's not controlled by a parasite.
Yeah. I also remember in was it Dr. Edgestorm's report about how when was it Frost died, she mentioned something about her sister.
Yeah, I did make sure to put that in the report too. See, it was something like, as long as my sister is okay. They just promised that they'd keep her safe.
Yeah.
Perhaps what the commander is implying is that Colonel, and I'll turn to Colonel Karava, perhaps you should investigate some of our more advanced interrogation methods that we've been known to use in the past.
I'll try.
This is just getting weirder and weirder for Shamar. This is like such a non-Starfleet conversation.
Carver doesn't torture people.
Just ask.
I didn't say torture. I said
We've had lots of vague
interrogation.
metaphors that sounds very similar.
Basic
Technique.
Does anyone want to roll insight, security, maybe, or command, and you maybe figure out what she's trying to get at? Because if she says what she wants to say out loud, then she's trying to be diplomatic.
I'm guessing.
I know what she's talking about. Insight security or insight command?
Either one. I would say difficulty 1.
I'm gonna say I have a focus, please, probably.
All right. So I assume so. With 6 of them related to intelligence.
Are we all able to roll here?
Anyone can roll. I don't care. This is just an insight roll. You guys are just trying to figure out what she's trying to say without her saying it.
I'm assuming one of those Romulan brain scanners.
I mean, that's a thing that can happen. Sure.
Volsky gets the wrong end of the stick.
Wow. All right. I'm going to definitely deal with Vosky's first. So, Vosky, how would
Everyone has a parasite.
How would Vosky feel? Like, what would his reaction be? And your answer to this question determines what the complication is going to be. How does Vosky feel, and how does he react if he believes not only that Alfuli is suggesting torture, but also that she is actually controlled by a parasite?
Right. Okay. If we bring in the latter bit, what Vosky's going to do now in the meeting is be very quiet, and then later on he'll find a way of doing some surreptitious scans that may prove or disprove his theory.
Didn't y'all do that before? I feel like y'all did that once before and it didn't pan out.
We did. We did.
Yeah.
We did some investigations to see if she was a bug last time, and she wasn't.
Okay, since I don't want a
if you're
repeat of that, I'm just gonna say he's really, really confused, and I'm gonna take the complication as threat because I don't want that to happen again. Because she's not a parasite for the 100th time. I just wanted him to believe for a second that she might be. Okay, so
happened in the 24 hours we were away.
Karava, anyone else? Okay, Karava's the only one with 1. So Karava, I said difficulty was what, 2, right? Or did I say... No, I said it was 1. I said it was 1. So you for sure think she doesn't mean torture. What she means is cunning, being clever, trying to use your words in a way that might trick him into revealing information because he's incredibly arrogant and probably wants to tell people everything he knows. And that would probably be really, really easy to do because he's such an arrogant asshole. So that's basically what she's trying to say. But for some reason, the word torture got dragged into this. But she's trying to suggest that by looking at Adriel, she's suggesting that if he's let in there, he's going to do something that is going to make everyone regret basically him existing. So she's trying to get it so that you guys do it and he doesn't, to prevent that from happening. And everyone's like, okay, let's torture. As for you guys, add however much momentum that is. Let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and what do you guys at momentum? 7? No, 6. So that'd be 13 momentum. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. So that's 5 bonus momentum. I can't think of what you could possibly use for that. But it's got to be something to do with insight against... I'll say insight against her or the security chief. Nobody else. If you have any questions, this is when you ask.
I do have one question
that
has been burning away since we've been so fiercely reprimanded by her in the past. It's fairly clear then that she does not particularly trust her chief of security?
It's not that she doesn't trust him, she's just worried that he's going to take things to kind of like how he did earlier when he just said something without thinking in front of people, you know, we can't trust Romulans or whatever the hell it was. Like, she's just worried that that's going to interfere. Like, you know how when you're interrogating someone you have bad cop, good cop, but then you have the good cop try to be the bad cop and then it kind of throws it all away? Like, she's just worried he's going to mess it up and say or do something out of line that's she's going to have to put in a report, and she really wants to avoid that.
Okay, I don't think he said something wrong. I think he tried to kill someone, but...
Oh no, he tried to convince someone to let someone die. That's a little bit different. But yeah, she's not worried that he's a mass murderer. She's worried that he's a little bit racist.
Okay.
It's mostly just she's not worried about that she can't trust him on that level. She's just worried about him in general, like his general personality, kind of throwing away the entire investigation. Any other questions? Still got 4 momentum to spend freely about these 2 individuals who have been cagey from the beginning.
I can think of something, but I'm like the one person who can't ask these questions.
Yeah, I don't think getting that complication. I don't think he Yeah, it wouldn't make sense for
Yeah,
him
yeah,
to
yeah.
be like, "Oh, I failed," and then all of a sudden have this brilliant insight. Yeah, it wouldn't really make
Exactly.
sense.
I can keep that big dumb mouth shut.
But
Start like typing on
as
the
a
pad to send it to someone else.
yeah, I was gonna say, as a player, if you have any ideas for the other character, player characters, they can ask it for you, so that's fine.
Well, in that case, the telepathically sensitive amongst the party might pick up on the idea that they, she acted unusually on the whole shut up, stop asking questions about the previous prisoner we caught. When she said, "We'll take over now. You go deal with the Dicarius."
Right.
Bosky asked a follow-up question, and he was shut down pretty harshly. Which is what was up with that? Like, is there any indication?
It's more of the
pick up now.
It's more of the same. She's under she's a captain in charge of a starbase of thousands of people. She is under intense pressure to get results, and when her security chief is acting like a piece of shit, she's really worried that that's going to come down on her. And she's also really worried that with all these prisoners, something's going to happen to where either someone's going to get controlled by a parasite without knowing. She's worried that they're going to escape their prison cells. She's worried. Like, she has a lot on her plate. And now, as of the last time that you guys saw her, she's worried that she's got to worry about you guys worrying about her. So it's just everything compounding on her. And she feels alone, like she doesn't really have any help or support.
She's got the B-level crew, and she's trying to cope with that.
But, well, in that case, Vosky's got something that he'll say, like, in character, but I'll let everybody else say they've done everything with the bonus momentum before I act.
Yeah. 3 bonus momentum. Is there any other questions that you have pertaining to these 2 individuals?
I would like to, but no.
Alright, it's gonna go away. So if you happen to think of a question before the scene ends, feel free to shoot it out or spit it out. But if you haven't, by the time the scene ends and you guys move on from this nice picture of a conference room, then they will be gone forever. Alright. So, and for those of you who don't know, because this is a great time to tell you, like 75% of the way through the game, momentum is just a way of spending a meta currency to get more dice and to get information and to basically just do generic cool things. Threat is my version of that. I use threat to fuck shit up. All right, so moving on. The captain says, or we could have half of you stay and interrogate the prisoners, and the other half could go on this mission to Mariposa Colony. That's an option. Karava, what do you say on that? Would you prefer for everyone to stick together, or would you like to split the party?
Out of character, I mean, I'd like...
I think everybody... We don't have that many people for our ship, so I think...
Well, you will now, because you're going to get replenished. Like, you're going to have thousands of people on your ship, so that's not a problem. It's more of the, like I said before, when you go down one path in my games, it doesn't necessarily mean you close off the other path, but it changes the outcome. So, for example, if you're supposed to go on this mission to Mariposa Colony, but she's trying to convince you to interrogate this guy first. But the more time you spend interrogating this guy, the more things are going to happen at Mariposa Colony that you're going to either miss out on or whatever. But if you go into Mariposa Colony, then something might happen with McShale, and you might miss out on that. So I'm basically just... she's giving you this last option because it's your ship. It's your crew. It's up to you. She's not going to force you to stay or force you to go. She's going to say... If you want, we could say half of you go to Mariposa Colony and half of you, the bridge crew, half of the people in this room, stay here and interrogate this prisoner. What do you think, Colonel Karava? That's what she's saying.
Oh, okay. I don't know, I think ideally we'll go together.
Alright, yeah. Karava says together.
Colonel Lex says it doesn't require all of us to go and interrogate him.
That's true.
It doesn't bother if it doesn't require us all.
But that will probably take less time than going on this mission, which will take 3 days at least. So, yeah.
Colonel Lex says if you want to come by shuttle, you and Chambers can interrogate him while the rest of the crew goes onto this mission.
Lieutenant Volsky will lean forward slightly and say, one way in which I may be of some assistance, particularly during the travel time, but that will also assist with the interrogation but would not require my presence, is if we could arrange for all scans of every kind that have so far been taken of this person to be sent to me, and some updating deep scans, as deep as we can go without becoming invasive improperly. And I may be able to, with some of the new data that you will have seen in the report, come up with some new theories or new speculations about this person. And he turns to Dr. Engstrom and would say, and I would be grateful, Doctor, if you could assist me in that.
Absolutely, Bosky.
So your idea, and this is just my interpretation of what Bosky Edgeford just said, is to postpone Mariposa and not only interrogate McShale, but also run a bunch of deep scans on him. Is that what I'm getting?
No, what Vosky's thinking is that one, they've probably already done a lot of those scans, and two, doing a couple of those scans can probably be done very quickly, or even remotely, and sent to him, and then he can scrutinize and analyze that data whilst he's sitting on the Dicarius.
Oh, okay.
Going
so
back and forth, but, yeah,
it's
he's
more of
using
an analysis, not really a physical scan thing. Got it.
Exactly.
Okay, yeah. Captain could say, by all means, you guys could go on the mission to Mariposa Colony, and we could conduct the interrogation, investigation, and deeper scan of this individual. That's completely fine. However, I was just trying to give you guys the opportunity to, since you guys were the one that brought him to justice. So if that's, and she looks specifically for the third time, Colonel Korava, because she's the one in charge. She says, if that's what you want, then you're more than welcome to go to Mariposa Colony and let us handle the interrogation.
Would it be possible to have him on board my ship?
Me as the GM earlier was going to suggest that, but then I was like, no, because they're going to be like, oh, you're trying to have him take over the ship. So
There's too many security risks.
I'm going to suggest that's the tactic. I want one of the new people on board the ship to have inform him that they had suggested it, so that they could get ready to take over our ship.
Basically, Colonel Lex is suggesting that you and Seamus should stay to interrogate him.
Yeah, but I'm suggesting we probably won't get much from interrogating him. But if we could convince him that somebody on board our ship is a traitor who's working with the worms like he is.
That's actually a good plan. I didn't think of that. That's actually a good idea.
And so that they suggested it.
Yeah.
And, they can come to him at a quiet hour and say, yeah, I suggested for you, we're gonna need to get ready to take care of this ship, kind of thing. And see what information we can learn that way.
Right.
Because he already knows me. Problem is, he already knows me, and he already knows knows
Engstrom,
chief of security. Because I did try and shoot him.
Yeah. That kind of burns you into his memory.
I kind of like that idea. As I was thinking, is I have, so us two as new players or newcomers, we literally have no idea about all the backstory and whatnot. So that would even fill us in on what was going on, and it's also a way to get new eyes on it.
Right, and you know what I was going to suggest, or what Captain Afuli was going to, she was actually going to look to Cadet Tekis, who, as you just said, has no idea what's going on, and ask him his opinion to see if it was something along those lines. Am I correct in assuming that it would be?
Say again, GM, it's like...
Sorry, did I cut out?
No, it's just, I misunderstood.
So... well, I'll just do it then. Captain Ufuli, after Colonel Lex and Korava finish speaking, Captain Ufuli looks across the table to Cadet Tekis and says, Cadet Tekis, you haven't spent as much time in this situation as the rest of us. Perhaps fresh eyes can give us a better idea. What do you suggest Colonel Korava's method is a good one to attempt, or do you have any other suggestions?
I'd be willing to engage with this individual, as the suggestion of fresh new eyes or fresh perspective always comes. While it says on my official report that I am a flight officer, I've originally wanted to be a counselor. Through either a mishap or through my training, though, it seemed flight officer was better at the time.
You notice when you say counselor, and then go on to explain, Senior Chief Petty Officer Idriel kind of crosses his arms and leans back and exhales a bit, not loudly, like obviously, but like you can tell he's sighing and kind of just staring across the table at you as you say this. Captain Ofuli is on board totally. She says, then it's settled. You all will go to Mariposa Colony. It will take you 3 days. En route, Mr. Tekis here will lead the operation, I suppose, to convince or manipulate Mr. McShale into sharing information that he would not otherwise share, with the oversight of Colonel Carava and Lieutenant Commander Shaymore. Am I correct in this assessment? She looks around the table.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep.
Nods.
Very well. She looks over to Commander Locke and gives him a nod, and he stands up. He says, better news, Silent Odyssey will be assisting in your mission. We will remain outside of the Mariposa solar system, as we do not have a cloaking device installed yet, but we will be there in case you need backup. Does anyone have any questions?
I have an out-of-game question.
Mm-hmm.
And it was, I forget, what was the issue at the Dinar 1 space colony that Commander Locke had brought up?
So, there was a distress call sent from Dinar 1, an Angosian space station, an outpost, that was on the border of Klingon space, which was technically a part of Klingon, Klingon territory. And the Dicarius was on its way to investigate. However, some shenanigans happened, and they were forced to stop and then repair some things and everything like that. So by the time they could go to Dinar 1, they only had 50 or less than 50 crew members serving on a ship that normally cruise over 1,000. So it would be almost, I would say, extremely difficult to get that ship over to Dinar 1 and conduct any investigation without a full crew aboard. So they basically decided, we're closer to Starbase 123. We can go back. We can get new crew. We can, give the Starbase all our information, etc., etc. We can drop off these prisoners. And they decided to go that route. But in the meantime, because they did that, the Klingons were like, oh, this space station has a bunch of neuroparasites, blast it to smithereens, and then went about their business because they're Klingons. So that's basically what happened.
Okay. And one other question that Dr. Engstrom will be thinking through is, like, she's thinking back on the last couple of hours, or I don't even know how long it's been since since starting off at the Olympic. But how would the Olympic have been far enough from the Starbase to not have detected what ship was beaming everybody off? There were a lot of Romulan transporter patterns.
So no, because the ship that was doing all the beaming was cloaked. So even if it was close, it wouldn't have detected nobody would have detected it. Basically, as far as you guys are concerned, the ship showed up, did its thing, and then beamed people off, but also beamed intruders on, and then took off, all while cloaked. So there would have been no way. All Starbase 123 would have detected was, oh look, the USS Olympic has suddenly stopped, and for no reason. I wonder why. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, so no chance of recovering, or no chance that they would have heard from the missing crew.
Not really, no. At least not yet. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Polsky will ask, just for the sake of planning, how many minutes out would the ship be holding if we were to need support?
Let's see, we could probably be there around plot hours, because that's how Star Trek works. So
Okay.
essentially, if you roll a complication, If you roll a complication or fail, botch a roll or something like that, then they won't get there in time. If you don't, then they will. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
I'm not gonna screw you guys by being like, okay, if you don't call them in 17 minutes and 36 seconds, they're not gonna get there because light speed is a thing, and they're just outside of the solar system.
Where's the next starship? 5 sectors away.
Yeah, 6 days out.
All right.
What's the maximum warp we're dealing with?
On the Dicarius, it's like 9.9 something. It's pretty fast. Like I said, 3 days, and you're a couple sectors out, so it's not too bad. The Odyssey is about the same, probably a little bit slower, just because it's not a prototype, with advanced engines or whatever. But it'll follow at a slower pace, so that when you get there, you can just cloak and go in, and then it can come in behind you and then hide behind an asteroid or something.
They are such slowpokes. Their maximum warp begins with a 9.8.
Yep. And Afuli stands up and says, one other thing, Centurion Drusilla, I invited you here because you are being assigned to the RRW Axia, which is arriving now. And then as you say that, she nods to, or as she says that, she nods to Adriel, who presses a button on a data pad, and a few seconds later, somebody that some of you have met transports into the middle of the room.
A little out of character interjection, just for a minor point. When Afuli stands up, this is the thought I had, but I don't know if it's something Starfleet does. Is this something where the moment the captain stands up, everybody else stands up, or is this a little bit more relaxed?
I think if it was like if you guys knew that this was a dismissed kind of stand up, then yeah, everyone would stand up. But the fact that she's just like leaning forward to gesture at someone.
Oh, okay.
And she's not like standing at attention or standing up to leave or anything. The only one who's still standing is what's his name anyway? It's like once she stands up and gestures to Drusilla.
Asshole Locke.
Yeah, gestures to
Hey,
Drusilla.
don't you speak poorly about my former first officer.
Oh shit.
She sits back down.
Character, I dare you.
Says my favorite.
Oh, that's funny because I was about to do just that.
When Colonel sees the woman, the person we've seen before, he says, "Oh, my favorite captain."
She glares at you and she says, still Riemann, I see. Well, we can't all be perfect. She jumps up on her head.
So she immediately falls over.
Anyway, so yeah, basically Drusilla is being transferred to the Axia, and Dr. Engstrom, you will be assigned a new physician's assistant, which will be transferred over after this meeting. She looks over to... Well, she says there's a lot of transfers going on due to the neural parasite problem. We're trying to put everyone in the most efficient places possible to do this research and study this and defend against it. She looks over and she says, you do have a choice of individuals. We have a couple of individuals who are looking for duty, as they are either on supposed to be on shore leave, or they've simply finished all their tasks. You could either, and this is her saying it in character is me out of character giving you these options like last time, so take that into account. You can either have Commander Locke on board your ship as well. You can either have Engineer Rakeda Cathel on your ship as well. You can take Adriel with you if you need extra security, or maybe just cannon fodder to throw in front of disruptors. And then there's she mentions Ensign Libby Gordon is a scientist who specializes in the neural parasites. Back in 2364, her mother actually found one that was alive and has kept it alive for 40 years and experimented on it, studied it, and she is pretty much as of now, besides her mother, she is the foremost expert on these parasites. So those are your 4 options. I'm going to take a vote. So before everyone jumps in with their votes, I'm going to go around the room. Cadet Carava, what's your vote?
Who's Commander Locke again?
The EXO of the Silent Odyssey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Did we have problems with her?
Well, it's a guy, and no. I mean, I don't. I don't know if y'all did.
Seems okay so far.
Okay.
I mean, I will have no. Dr. Engstrom has no problem, but
I'm gonna maybe suggest bringing the neural
the expert.
neural parasite expert.
Okay, one for expert. Going down the list, or I'm gonna go back to Cadet Tekis. Who do you think?
I would abstain, as number one, I'm not going on the other missions, and number two, I don't believe it's my call.
Okay, well, this is an out of character thing, but sure.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Lex, what about you?
I'll go with the.
And if you need me to repeat anything, just let me know.
I go with Commander Locke.
All right. Kamina.
Yeah, I'd go with Commander Locke as well.
Okay. And Engstrom. Let me guess. Locke.
actually, sorry, who were? So there were 3 different candidates, and so
There's
one
4.
of them is Wait, there's 4. I'm
Yep.
gonna need the names again then.
So I've divided them by command, engineering, security, and science. Command is Locke. Engineering is Rakeda Cathel. Only half of you have met her. She was in the very first episode. SCPO Idril is the security guy that's sitting right next to you guys. And Ensign Libby Gordon is the expert on neural parasites.
I vote the last one.
I don't know who I is. Can you say your name?
Shamar, sorry.
Okay, that's fine. And Engstrom?
It seems to me that it would be good to have the neural parasite expert with us. But again, I'm just a lieutenant junior grade, so I don't know.
This is
how
an
much
out of character vote. This is an out of character vote. So the players decide, and then I come up with an in-game reason for why they go with you. You don't have to, it's out of character.
Out of character. I wonder if you took that chief security officer away for interrogation, so he's not a risk to the person being interrogated.
That's a possibility. Well, that's a certainty if you take him, yeah. Well, except for if you take him on the ship with McShale, then he's with him. But that could work out in your favor too. So it's up to you guys how you want to play it, but I've already lost count. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Engstrom, did you give me? No, you haven't yet.
Oh, okay, because I guess I suppose the one thing with Locke is if he were infected with a parasite, I would be able to help determine that because I would know because we served together for several years. Well, for
right.
as many years.
Yeah, and out of character, he's not, as far as you know, because I've told you that. So, or I've more or less told you he's acting as you would expect him to act. The neural parasites, when they possess someone, especially at first, they act very robotic because they're trying to understand the body and the brain and how it all functions. And then after, a few minutes or a few hours or a few days or however long it takes, they act more normal, but they still have memory issues and other things that they, like, for example, the ones in the show, they ate a certain food that, like, I think it was like bugs or worms or something.
Like tube grubs or something.
Yeah, and so there's certain things that you can tell over time, but like as far as you know now, he is not. He is not. But again, this is an out of character, thing, and we can write around it, and to figure out why they would go or whatever. Libby Gordon's easy because it's neural parasite. Locke is pretty easy because he's the XO of the Odyssey, and maybe he just wants to see how Karava runs her ship. Rakata's easy. Rakata Cathel is easy because you guys know her as a trustworthy Romulan engineer. Adriel, probably not so easy.
Well, out of character, I would vote for Locke. In character, I'd vote for the neural parasite expert, but from a purely out of character perspective.
Okay, you'll be the tiebreaker.
Locke, yeah.
You'll be the tiebreaker
then.
Can I just add one thing too? Just that one of Dr. Engstrom's foci is neurology.
Okay. So do you feel like whatever happens in the future with the neural parasites that you wouldn't necessarily need Libby Gordon and that you would be fine? You and Vosky could take care of anything like that? Do you think that would be a fair assessment?
I think maybe it would just, I guess, as far as being a medical officer, a little more so than a scientist, it's more like if there's a defense that needs to be created, I think that's where Dr. Engstrom's skills might be a bit more useful. Which is why she would vote for Ensign Gordon over Commander Locke.
Okay, so final answer is Gordon, right?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
And Locke's going to be on the Odyssey, which is going to be following us to
Anyway, yep.
Mariposa, right? Okay.
Yep.
And I vote for the scientist.
All right. So far, we have 4 for the scientist and 2 for the commander. Shamar already voted. Vosky, so you're the tiebreaker, or not the tiebreaker. You're the person that can either not matter or not matter, because it's gonna be Libby Gordon.
Yeah, it's already
I was about to say, it's
I was
gonna
like,
be
wait a
Libby
minute.
Gordon either way.
You could tie it up and then make it all my fault.
No, if I were to vote,
Sounds about right,
which I will, it will only go to 3-4.
Right.
So yeah. I vote Locke and change nothing. Yay!
Alright, let's do it.
Democracy.
Okay. So, did Tekis vote? I don't remember.
Tekis abstained.
It won't matter.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's still.
Yeah, unless he votes to tie, it won't matter. All right, so Ensign Libby Gordon will go with you. I will make up a character sheet when I get time. Let's see. And what time is it? 5? Yeah, so I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else. Do you guys have any specific questions about the Mariposa operation and the neuroparasites that should be answered here? That could be answered here. You know, something that a scientist or a medical officer who's already dealt with them, the neuroparasites could answer, or something that you would have to ask Captain Alfuli about, you know, the operation to Mariposa Colony. And the reason I'm saying this is because they're about to end the scene. You've got those 3 bonus momentum, and once you leave this place, like I said last time, if you have any questions, you'll either have to spend momentum or you'll have to roll for it. So this is like your only chance where you will not have to roll for it.
A minor side point, although I imagine the answer is going to be with us, is that Lieutenant Vosky will turn to Colonel Carava and the captain of Fuli and ask, has any decision been made as to where our parasite prisoner is to be kept? Will they be remaining with us, or will they be remaining here? I would ask that they come with us for further analysis, but I bow to your authority, of course. And, you know, he's looking at 2 people who are in charge.
Sorry, who are you talking about again? Because there's a lot of people in a prison right now, so you got to be more specific than they.
The parasite, which is a parasite and is out, and that Vosky was trying to communicate with, and that.
Oh, the stubborn one, yeah. Well, Alfuli prefers if it's back on the starbase where it's more secure than some random ship out there in space. But if you need it to study it, she'll say be very, very, very careful and don't let it infect anyone. But if you need it, she'll let you keep that one. I mean, I'm also going to say that they do like a cleanse of your ship to make sure that is the only one, so that you guys don't have to be paranoid throughout the whole mission, next mission.
Okay,
You can always just put a force field around the station as well. I mean, just
well, that's called shields.
Very.
I'm also going to give
security
standing
precaution.
orders as well. Whenever people are operating with the parasite, they have to wear proper PPE so it can't.
Gotta wear your mask.
Yep.
Gotta wear your mask.
Vosky like taps his mask.
Yeah. Vosky's already got it.
Yeah. So out of character, I know that it's probably a sensible thing to leave it behind, and I know that we've probably tapped everything we can. But in character, Vosky doesn't know that. So in character, Vosky would want it, but I'm completely chill if we leave it behind.
Also, it could be good bringing it along because we're gonna have the foremost expert.
Well, how about this?
And she could study it and compare.
That is true too.
notes with-
I mean, she probably knows everything that it could possibly tell her, but with the exception of the Trill DNA being introduced into it. But you could also just say, and again, it depends on your momentum and how much you have, but like, you could just make that decision if and when you need that parasite. Like, let's say, for example, you're on the ship and you're like, oh man, I wish we had that parasite with us. Oh wait, we can spend a momentum and say we have it. Like, you can also do that. So it's not a huge deal.
I would ask the ensign as well. The parasite that your mother kept, did it in any way try and communicate back with her?
Right. Well, the ensign's not physically in the room yet, so you're gonna have to wait for that question. Yeah. Let me just check my notes, see if there's any. So you're gonna have 3 hours off duty on Starbase, basically to do whatever, get to know each other, role play, whatever you want to do. In the meantime, before we get to all that, though, I'm gonna have Mr. Oslar, a half. Let me just make sure I'm getting his species right. Don't want to miss-species him. Where is he? Starbase? No, Dakarius. Sub-Lieutenant Oslar is a half Romulan, half Orion, and he is going to be Engstrom's new physician's assistant. So, yay! He approaches you after the meeting, Dr. Engstrom, in his full Romulan regalia, and you can tell he has, even though he has the forehead of the Romulan and the ears of a Romulan, he's got like the facial features, the angry Orion facial features. Obviously he's green, and he kind of looks sternly to Dr. Engstrom and says, I have been told I will be working for you.
And Dr. Engstrom is a little taken aback, because during her previous service aboard the Ivanhoe, she was often at odds with Orion pirates. But she will maintain her poker face as best she can, and just say, yeah, that is correct.
He says, very well, and then just turns off and kind of marches away without really giving you any sort of affirmation or anything. As far as you could tell, he just wanted to make sure you were the right person to report to, and then he just turns off and walks away. Is there anything you want to say to him before he gets out of earshot, or?
No, she won't say anything to him. She might glance back over to Commander Locke. Commander, he would understand.
Yeah, Commander Locke will walk over and kind of place a hand on your shoulder and say, "Don't worry, it'll turn out all right. I'm pretty sure. I hope. But hey, we're working together again.
We've been in worse, haven't we, sir?
Yeah, I look forward to it. I'll be, a quarter of a light year away, but at least we're, I'll be like 3 AUs away from you, but at least we're working together again. Someone we can trust, someone I can trust. Ever since I got out here and was promoted or was made the XO of the Odyssey, I've just felt like I was, always looking over my shoulders. It's this place will do things to you. Being between Klingon and Romulan and Federation space, it'll make you paranoid.
I guess I thought that Ramirez and Torval had gone with you to your new assignment, but I guess you didn't really get a say in that, did you?
Not really. Like Captain Afuli mentioned earlier, this area of space requires a lot of tending to. It's like the weeds. If you miss 1 week without mowing that lawn, it's gonna take over your house. And this is how they had to send me out here. I was the best candidate, and I had the most experience in my squadron. So they had to make me the XO of the Odyssey, which I'm not complaining. The Odyssey is a pretty fine ship, but they had other intentions for the others.
All right. Well, that's Starfleet, isn't it?
Yep. You guys will notice Mr. Adriel is kind of making his way towards an exit, but he kind of makes his way to the long way to Mr. Shamar, and he says, "Mr. Shamar, if McShale happens to accidentally float out an airlock, nobody's gonna miss him. Just saying."
Jeepers creepers.
Oh my goodness.
This guy's gonna get written
I
up.
repeat, murderer.
He hasn't murdered anyone yet.
There's nothing wrong with that, but
But yeah, his intention is to just kind of mention that and give you like a grin or something and walk past. It's up to you if you want to like stop him and say something or what. Oh, and you will remember, Shamar, as you are, or you were an enlisted individual before you were a lieutenant commander, him being enlisted as well, there is, you know that he has looked up your record and he knows that you were enlisted. So, although, you know, you're a Cardassian, you're in security like he is, he probably feels some sort of, I wouldn't say a bond or a connection per se, but he feels like you're probably more of a trustworthy type to kind of confide in, maybe, than these damn Romulans. Are you saying something? Your green light's lighting up, but I don't hear anything. Could be signal, I guess.
Oh, no wonder. I was speaking very much. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I was like, why is no one hearing me? Okay. So yeah, Shamar gives him a look of like, what the fuck? Like he doesn't even know what to say. And as he turns around, like he lets him keep walking. He won't grab him by the arm. But as he walks like 1, 2, 3 steps away, he says, "I'm a Starfleet officer, damn it!" And he walks away.
Oh damn! I wonder.
In a huff.
Yeah. Does anyone say? I'm assuming a good portion of the group hears that, but does anyone react to it?
I would try not to like make it a huge outburst, but definitely he's not happy with that.
Well, okay. I don't want to make it a roll, but we'll assume that unless your character wouldn't, like Captain Afuli is still like doing paperwork in the corner, but like unless your character is not paying any attention to what's going on around them, they're gonna hear it because like you're 5-10 feet away from the, you're literally almost touching Commander Locke, so like I'm assuming that they're gonna hear it. But yeah, does anyone react to it or respond to it?
Yeah, okay, I'll do it then.
Kamina does. As I typed in the chat.
I'll listen in, but
Basically,
I won't respond.
Colonel Lex goes up and checks on Shamar.
He's talking to me like I would murder this man in cold blood, like I would violate every code the Federation stands for. I am a Cardassian, but I am a Starfleet officer. I am a lieutenant commander. I will not be treated like this. And he walks away.
Polsky just quietly notes it.
Just keep 2 eyes on him. Because something's up with him.
He's gonna have this is an out of character observation. He's gonna have a short career at this, right?
I don't know. Senior Chief Petty Officer is a pretty high rank up in the enlisted branch, so.
Yeah, like this is like everyone at the table is a very, very high rank, and I'm one of the highest rank in Starfleet. And like this guy calls me an Obsidian Order member, and then like this like offhanded comment like I would murder somebody in cold blood. Like he's like, what the hell? Like I'm a Cardassian, but you need to treat me with respect. That's like what he's trying to say, at least.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, he's gone.
Colonel Lex says.
What's Colonel Lex say?
Oh, before he leaves, Colonel Lex would say, "You're an Obsidian Order. You're a Starfleet officer."
Saved my life.
Commander Locke is, kind of, the 3 of them are in a general vicinity, so he takes like half a step over to stand next to Colonel Locke or Colonel Lex, and he says, "It's okay. This stuff happens. Well, one of these days, that damn petty officer is gonna get what's coming to him, no matter what, And he kind of glances over to the Captain Afuli, who kind of seems to be busying herself with paperwork, and he shakes his head and he says, "I don't see why she puts up with him. To be honest with you."
I really don't. This isn't the first incident we've encountered with him. This is the second.
Out of character question about the practicalities of the way Starfleet works, and regretfully, I'm familiar with the concept from the British, but I've only heard it named so aptly with the Americans, which is there such a thing as the E4 Mafia? Just a group of people who are like...
Yeah. Yep.
Right, okay.
In this case, it's an E8 Mafia.
Okay.
Yeah. So to put that into perspective, as far as being enlisted goes, there's the E4 being what I was when I left Army is not very high, but basically it's like a stick together kind of like because we're so low but we're higher than like the E1s to E3s, we kind of have that level of like we can do whatever the fuck we want and get away with it. So we act out and stuff like that to test boundaries and stuff, and we stick together and all that good stuff. But like in this case, because he's gotten to the point where he's like an E7, E8, where he's like the second from the top of the the enlisted ranks, and he's pretty young. He's like late 30s, maybe early 40s, so not that old for a senior enlisted individual. But it seems like it could be that it's just getting to him where it's like, I'm invincible. But there also could be other things to factor into it that people just don't see because that's life.
And that slight idea that you can slightly yank around people who might be more senior than you. It's like, oh, you wanted that thing released from the motor pool. Oh, no!
Oh, I'm sorry. I signed it out to another sergeant. I completely forgot. Y'all's names are so similar. Smith, Johnson. I get you mixed up. But anyway.
I'm gonna stride over to the security chief, and I'm gonna suggest to him play into it in the future.
I think he's left. I think both security chiefs have already left.
Oh no, I mean my security chief.
Yeah, I think he walked out.
Yeah, I walked out a while ago.
Yeah, he left.
Okay, I'll suggest it to him later then. Play into it.
Yeah, we'll say that you did that. You don't have to remember to do that. I'll just say Shamar, later on, if that's something that Shamar wants to do, But I can't imagine Shamar wanting to do that.
Can we bounce to? Are we finished with this scene or?
You can be. Like I said, you have.
I wanted to quickly. Who, aside from the station commander, who is the next? Who's the ship leader at this point? So it's like Captain.
So the captain's kidnapped of the Dicarius. So Colonel Carava, who is now the XO. By the way, oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about that. Captain Carava walks over and shakes Colonel Carava's hand, and I'm gonna say what's her name returns because I totally didn't forget to make Carava XO. And Axia returns from getting a beer or something, and she says, Colonel Carava, you are now officially the executive officer of the Dicarius since Subcommander Drenal decided to be a traitor. And good luck with that. Please don't betray the Republic. And then she actually just beams out without any kind of word whatsoever. And
no official greeting, nope. Just yo, you're captain, bruh, and then gives out.
So, acting captain of the ship, Colonel Carava. Commander Locke is the XO of the Odyssey. I hope that answers your question.
Yes. Yep, cool. So I basically would go to the captain and be, Captain, it's a pleasure to be under your command.
It's a pleasure.
Well.
Oh, it's a pleasure to meet you, young officer. What's character's name again?
Tekis, sir.
Oh, Ensign Tekis?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, she'll shake you.
Thought it was Cadet.
Well, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure and honor to meet you, Ensign Tekis.
Hold on, let me check your character sheet.
Because I saw Cadet. Unless
it says Cadet. You can just change it to Ensign if you want to be an Ensign. I'm fine with that.
Okay, so I will say Ensign because I would think Cadet is still you're in the school.
Yeah. Well, I mean they have flight cruises and stuff like that, but yeah.
You could be like Wesley essentially. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't even mention his name.
Don't.
Basically, Colonel Lex goes out to the captain and says, he's the new navigator.
Oh, I'm supposed to be the flight officer.
So for the sake of, because we have two pilots, for the sake of just it's just a name. It's not it doesn't really mean a whole lot. The primary helmsman is going to be, because I thought you were a cadet at the time. That's the only reason why I did that. But Cadet Ensign Hamlin is going to be the primary helmsman, and then Tekis will be the navigator / co-pilot. However, in character or in game, whenever we get down to it, it's not going to matter a whole lot because you're both going to be at the front of the ship doing the same thing. So the only.
I mean, what we could change is me being the counselor because that's what I was going for through my character.
That's fine too.
It's just when I did the whole program, there was no real option for counselor.
Yeah, you kind of, as far as the character generator goes, it's one of those things where it thinks it knows best, but it doesn't always. So like the reason why it said that, I'm guessing, just looking at your disciplines and attributes, is because you have a 4 in con, and your medicine is a 1, and you kind of need a high medicine to be a counselor. So if you want to,
high medicine?
yeah, because it's a psychology,
Oh, I
it's
thought
a
it was
medical.
command.
No, I mean, they wore blue, so it's a medical thing. It's a psychology, psychiatry, all that good stuff. So if you want to just swap those two.
I'll swap. Okay, so swap the con with medicine.
Yeah. And then let's see.
My character wanted to see a counselor.
Yeah, that's true. So if you want to just go to a corner, the 2 Romulans, and hang out, that'd be fine. If you want to roleplay that, you can go ahead.
And whenever I can, I want to do like a roleplay thing with Angstrom.
All right.
I'm thinking counselor / diplomat kind of.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would say yes. It's good to finally be aboard a ship.
You're officially. It's a pleasure to meet you, Counselor Deckers. There you go.
Yes. I believe my assignment is to interrogate an individual. Is there anything you can tell me, maybe personal, maybe something, a data pad, or just general information about this person I'm going to speak with or interrogate?
I'm trying to remember correctly. Didn't he, when I shot at him, he did mention that the Romulan and the Federation and the Klingon Empire will be destroyed?
Probably. That sounds like something he'd say.
Yeah.
So, and also you would have his personnel file, but it would be the personnel file of somebody who's not a clone, and he is a clone. So, from a psychological basis, it could be a completely different person, but like biologically, they'd be almost identical.
But you'll know that But you'll know that the doctor would have spoken to him. She would have written a report about that.
Yeah, like all the information should be available to basically everyone, all of the bridge crew.
But I'll mention, he seems to be a diehard supporter of the neuroparasites.
Very troubling. Do you think it has anything to do with them?
I'm assuming it's due to cloning. I'm assuming like whoever programmed his trying to think of the word, psychological matrix, I guess. Most likely made it so he would be pro parasite. Ideally, you'd probably want to try and convince him that you have similar sympathies. Potentially something to do with like the Federation would be better under the guidance of the parasites. Could be a thing.
I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. With that, I believe I'm done talking to the captain.
Okay, is there any... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, just as soon as they separate, Hamlin will walk up to the captain and say, "Congratulations," and reintroduce himself again, just to make sure. I'm Ensign Hamlin. I will... Stop.
To be or not to be?
I will, sorry, go ahead, Captain.
Oh, okay. I should just say, yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you, Ensign. You're the helmsman of the... You're the new helmsman of the Dacarius, I believe.
And, I would like to warn you, Captain, this is only my second proper deployment, but I have all the standard spread of astronavigation, helm operations, field first aids, general sciences. I won't let you down, Captain. And he'll nod and step back and see if the captain has anything to say.
I'm gonna say, you don't worry. Don't worry. You'll learn on the job. Our mission's difficult, but all our crew is we're the best, some of the best people in the Republic and the Federation. So don't worry, and it'll be all good.
Thank you, Captain. It'll be wonderful to serve aboard an Allied ship.
The doors open and somebody enters those doors. And that person is probably not got a character sheet yet. Oh, there it is.
That person has a gun.
It's controlled by a neural parasite. Ha, just kidding. Is a human woman. She walks in. She has a look about her as if she's looking for someone. How her hands are behind her back. She's kind of like a mixture of composed and nervous, if that's a thing. Like she's forcing herself to be composed. Rank of ensign. She kind of looks around the room. She doesn't seem to recognize or know anyone. Who is the first to say anything to her?
Well, what color is her shirt?
Blue.
Blue. Well, in that case, yeah, Vosky will sort of turn around in his chair, especially since he's not taken part in most of the recent conversations, and will then say, "Good." I'm just going to assume it's the afternoon. Good afternoon, Ensign. Sorry. Good afternoon, Ensign. Are you looking for anyone in particular?
I was told to report to the Chief Science Officer of the Dicarius.
Out of character. Is that technically now Vosky?
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm fucking done. What do you think you've been doing for the last 7 episodes?
No. I've definitely been doing all of it. It's just making sure it's like, because he's relatively junior ranked, I'm just making sure that is indeed now him after all the various changes. But, okay, cool.
Yes, that's Vosky.
In that case, yeah, Vosky will give a brief nod. He's aware he can't meaningfully smile, and say, then you have found him. Lieutenant Vosky, you are Ensign?
Libby Gordon. A pleasure to meet you. She shakes his hand.
Yep, Vosky shakes it. Ensign Gordon, pleasure to make your acquaintance. We were expecting you. May I introduce you to the good Dr. Engstrom? And he gestures towards Dr. Engstrom, obviously, and sort of beckons Engstrom over if Engstrom is not currently involved in the conversation. And we'll say, this is our Chief Medical Officer, but I believe the 3 of us will be working together quite closely on certain projects involving analyzing and understanding the neural parasites, where I've been told you have a great deal of expertise.
Without having to roll, you notice that she doesn't. She glances to Angstrom, gives the typical nod to a superior officer, but her eyes immediately go back to you, and you can see that she's looking you up and down, and she's like, every once in a while her arms come from behind her back as if she wants to like do something with her hands, but then she puts them back, and you can tell she's probably very curious about your species in general.
Okay, Vosky's not, shall we say, unused to that, but he's not gonna play into it unless she outright asks. If she does ask, he'll play in. Yeah.
She says, "I'm just glad to be able to do my part against these parasites. I've heard a great many things about the Dicarius. I look forward to serving on a Romulan vessel. I look forward to serving with an individual named Ensign Hamlet. I can't thank
Damn it.
I can't thank the admirals more for putting me in this position and on this posting."
Hamlet, I don't think any of us know him well.
Who, Ensign Hamlet?
I'm making a slight Yorick joke. But
Sorry, I just got it.
Have you had an opportunity to read the updating reports on some of the alterations to this form of neural parasite, Ensign?
I have read them, but there's nothing like actually digging into I mean, doing your own physical research on a species. So I definitely look forward to getting in there and getting my hands dirty, as they say.
Hopefully they'll remain somewhat clean, Ensign.
Of course.
He would give it a little sort of nod of the head and then say, and whilst I know this is somewhat teaching people to suck eggs, the very basics of our craft, I would remind you that safety is unusually paramount. These particular parasites have proven quite adept at getting past restraints that are designed to keep everyone safe, and I would recommend.
Speaking of which, she kind
Hmm.
of interrupts you, and she says, "Sorry, Lieutenant," and she pulls from around her a hypospray, and she says, to prove that it's completely fine, she injects it into herself. She says, "I am no longer capable of hosting a parasite. Would you like one?"
I would like to study the chemicals first. I, of course, entirely believe that you will have done excellent work. However, our body chemistries will be somewhat different. However, I am fascinated by this development, and doubtless the good doctor is as well. Please tell me more about exactly how this functions.
It is a neural inhibitor that blah 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 technobabble, and that is we're gonna jump to anybody else that has a non-science conversation. Yeah, space magic, exactly. Does anybody have anything else that they will want to roleplay or do before we end tonight's game?
I guess I'm gonna go to the doctor.
Who's I?
Yeah, I did.
Tekis.
Okay.
And just as out of character thing, after hearing about the second death of a crew member, it's a good thing a counselor is now aboard the ship. But in character, I'm like, oh, doctor, I am Ensign Tekis. I'm the new ship counselor. I believe we're going to be working very closely together. More of a medical doctor, not the science doctor.
Right. She's muted, so.
So it's all good.
You there, Engstrom? There it is.
Alright, double muted myself again. Yeah, excuse me, Vosky, Ensign Gordon. But yeah, I should probably. Oh, she'll move off to just talk to Tekis and go, yeah, that does seem to be the case.
I hope this is a fruitful venture that we are both on.
I'm hoping so too. Were you able to understand what all was happening? Like, were you able to understand from whatever Starfleet provided just what our situation is? I know I had a couple issues with redactions in my documentation.
It was very hit and miss. It seems mostly like rumor and hearsay, and mostly everybody thinks it's like not a prank per se, but they believe it's something just stirring up trouble, as what bored outposts looking for a little excitement. At least that's what appeared to be. Back
appeared to be until people started dying.
Correct. They're taking the situation much more seriously now. So
Dr. Ames was just kind of silent after.
So they still have a lot of the information. I came here mostly unaware of what was happening. All I knew is that the crew could use a
Big lag.
the crew could use a person such as myself. With my little.
Well, we're glad to have you aboard.
Oh, thank you very much.
I need everybody to make an insight command roll. I'm not telling you the difficulty. I'm not telling you the complication range, even though there is one. And I'm not telling whoever. It's not about whether or not you succeed or fail, because that doesn't matter. It's who succeeds first, which means who gets the highest range of successes.
So insight command to.
Yep. It's
Any
not
focuses
Bosky.
that apply or just straight roll?
If you have anything perception related or psychology related,
Investigation?
Got it.
investigation works.
Composure?
Composure works.
Oh.
Everybody rolled a 0. Oh,
Well, you roll so damn fast, you don't give me a chance to finish the statement I'm making. So it looks like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So one person hasn't rolled yet? Or am I miscounting? Because I always do. Let's see, who is it? Is it Shamar? Oh, Shamar's not there, that's why.
I might have an ability for this as well.
Well,
Here.
okay.
I mean, Shamer isn't present, so does he still need to?
No, he doesn't need to roll if he's not there. I mean, he physically can't.
Is it suspicious
You
by
got two
nature?
turns.
Or...
No, it's not that. So, yeah. I mean, I imagine unless you're in tune with psychology, you're probably not going to get anything, so I'll go ahead and give it to Megara Engstrom. Unless you can pull a 4 out of your ass. You're all the way on the other side of the conference room from the captain. And she's leaning up against the wall bulkhead with her arm, like, up against it, facing away from everybody. And just her head is down. And you can't tell 100% just based on the distance, but you think she's trying to hold back tears.
Ensign Tekis, can you excuse me?
Oh, yes, ma'am. A pleasure to meet you. I let her pass me or whatever she needs to do.
Okay.
I don't trip over a bunch of chairs.
You just jump over the table and do like somersault.
This 5-foot woman can totally do
This
this.
is
Right?
a very exciting conference room.
Alright, so what do you do? What do you say? She doesn't even look up when you walk over.
Is everything all right, Captain?
She looks up suddenly, definitely interrupted by her thoughts, and just wipes her eyes. You don't see tears or anything, but she's definitely got like a more red face than normal. She says, "Yes, I'm fine. Just the burden of command. You know how it is. I've got a lot of work to do. Thank you for your concern. I'll be on my way." And she kind of tries to make her way, through the throng of people to the door and leave. Unless someone stops her, she's gonna leave the conference room or follows her, whatever you want to do.
I creepily follow her, barely keeping my distance.
Who is that? Who is that? I don't see who's speaking.
It's all good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she leaves.
I think Carver will follow her.
Well, you
Let me
didn't
say it.
see anything though, so why would he follow her?
Okay. Oh, okay.
All he notices is she's leaving. I had a game once where, like, the very first game I ever GM'd, which is why I'm kind of jaded sometimes, is where, like, there is a doctor and he was being controlled by somebody, but the captain didn't know that, but the player did. So the player just went up and, like, beat the shit out of him and shot him. And I'm like, dude, you don't know why he walked out of this room. Why'd you just kill someone for walking out of a room? He's like, oh, I'm like, you don't know why they walked out of the room though. So yeah, don't do that. If you see someone walking out of the room and they're looking suspicious, that's one thing. But if it's just someone walking out of a room, unless you intend to catch up with them to have a conversation about something.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I thought it was more because the doctor just rushed over to the
Jumped across the table.
Yeah, but she didn't literally run over though. Like, she probably made her way casually so that other people. This is me assuming that she did something, medical related, and that she didn't want everyone else in the universe knowing about what was going on, and she made her way over. But again, that's me as a GM assuming.
Yeah, I thought she rushed over. That's what she said.
But I didn't assume, like. I don't know if anyone would assume someone sprinted across the conference room. That's just what I'm trying to say. Is like rushing and rushing are two different. Yeah, I feel like there was maybe a wrong terminology there, but I don't imagine she ran over. That's just me.
No, I was not running.
The only thing in Tekis's mind is like, it's kind of odd that that the doctor went over to her, and then not long after she immediately leaves. So it's like, this is kind of concerning, but I'm gonna think that she needs some space or some time, or she's off doing something else.
And being as you're a counselor, you might have noticed her leave, and you might have noticed the doctor go over to her and all that, and maybe there's a connection there. But because you only rolled one success, you wouldn't know the ins and outs and the details of like she was distressed or upset or anything. You would just know that, you know, there's you would know that the events happened, but you wouldn't know the details or the connection between them. All right.
When I have a chance, I'd like to pull Colonel Lex aside, or get Colonel Lex to have a conversation with me. This is Kamena.
Yep, go ahead.
Colonel.
Yeah?
While there are tests for the alien parasites, there is the broader problem of the Imperialists. How will we know if certain new crew members are to be trusted?
I agree.
I just say to keep a careful eye on a certain ensign, and any other new Romulan crewmates that we might have, and be careful not to reveal too much. And you seem to have a somewhat of a stronger relationship with Colonel Korava. Perhaps some discreet advice to her as well.
Yeah, I know she gets busy with the interrogations and everything. She's always in command of the ship, so it's okay.
Alright.
Oh, it gives me more experience on trying to learn command on the bridge. So,
speaking of which, that's a good thing to use a milestone. Whoops. Speaking of which, Mac, that's a good thing to spend a milestone on, is a higher command. Being a colonel and an operations manager is probably a good idea. Just saying.
That's what I was doing to...
Okay.
Yeah, I was spending my momentum.
Not momentum, milestone, sorry. I probably misspoke there. But anyway, I think if I remember correctly, Shamar mentioned that he wanted to have a conversation with Engstrom.
Yes. Goddamn. That was like 50 minutes of role playing. I thought everyone was gonna leave right around the same time. I was like, no.
I heard you a couple times. It just whenever you know the other people would start talking, and I didn't want to interrupt them. So go ahead.
No. It's all good. It's all good. But yeah. Is everyone done with this scene? Because I would like to transfer to like later on the ship.
Yeah.
If that's okay. So yeah, like later on the ship, Shamar will kind of come into sick bay, where I assume the doctor is, and her new assistant, and he'll just kind of sit down on one of the bio beds and say, you know, you got anything for anxiety? Like something to relax. I imagine, like, you know, that's not very sci-fi, but I imagine they would have something.
Out of character with that herbal remedy specialist. I think of one thing.
I imagine she's got like fucking a hella hypo sprays, right? Or like she could like replicate something.
No, I'm in my medical bay. It's fully stocked and it's all organized.
Exactly.
Whoever was here before me made sure that they kept it nice and tidy, which makes me glad. Yeah, let me check my stores. Let me see what I've got here, Shamar.
It doesn't require a roll. It just requires picking something up and giving it to him.
Role playing, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to make sure in case that pause was waiting for me as the GM.
No.
Okay.
And he'll just kind of say like, I can't believe how they treated me back there. It's kind of incredible. I've dedicated everything, my whole life, to the Federation. I can't go back to Cardassia. My family had disowned me. This is all I have. And when people disrespect me like that, are all Cardassians? Is there something in my blood? Am I a cannibal? Do I murder people for fun? Is that what people expect of me? I've proven myself many times in battle. Proven myself with the pips on my collar. It's incredible. Yeah, he kind of just like looks down at the ground.
Sprays. She administers the hypo spray.
Yeah.
But she's been listening the whole time. So she says, one thing I've noticed is, like with I know the Dominion War happened. It's been decades now. I still see that it's left that the impressions of Cardassians before and after. Like, I don't know. What I've noticed is that, like, some of the senior officers in Starfleet and that they just seem to have a more hostile view, but I feel like, I don't remember exactly how old you are, Mr. Shamar, but at least
I imagine
with
he's
my
probably like
generation-
20s, 30s.
He's definitely not 20 if he's a lieutenant commander.
Yeah.
He's in his late 30s.
32.
No,
32.
it's got at least
Late
35.
30s? Okay,
Yep,
okay.
at least 35. Star Trek plays loosey goosey with the ranks. I don't.
I don't know what like Cardassian aging would be like. So yeah, we'll say like 35.
I assume
that sounds good.
I assume it's normal because it's not like the Klingons where they specify that they live for hundreds of years.
Yeah, exactly. We'll just kind of continue after the hyperspray. He calms down a little bit. Maybe finally
I
gives
wasn't
you.
done yet. Well, okay. Fine.
No, go ahead.
Because I was just gonna say, like, I just think with younger officers, there tends to be a different perspective towards Cardassians. Because what we grew up with was a very different. There really wasn't. The Cardassian Empire is mostly gone now, as opposed to what it was. A couple decades ago when some of these senior officers were first starting. And I know, like I said, the Dominion War happened, and the occupation of Bajor happened, but it still left its marks. And it just, I think, takes some time for some of the prejudices to work themselves out.
Yeah. There's always another side to the coin. I was trained the same thing. I was trained that humans are evil, that they are horrible people that are come to kill our children and rape our women, and all of these horrible... It was almost like it was integrated into our social structure, like integrated into our very lives. From a very, very young age, we were trained to hate the Federation. And when I was enlisted as a mighty soldier in the Cardassian Empire, fighting for the glory of Cardassia, my first mission, we landed with a battalion. We landed on a planet, a Bajoran kind of labor planets, and a bunch of the Bajorans had escaped, killed a few Cardassians, but they were gone. They only had 1 or 2 shuttlecraft on the ground, and everyone who had done the damage had escaped, and several Bajorans stayed behind, terrified for their lives, and my order was to execute them. They had done nothing. I had no idea who they were, and instead I turned my disruptor and I killed those Cardassians, and I took my shuttle and I joined the Maquis, and ever since I've been fighting Cardassia, horrible people who have oppressed our country, but I never get respect for it. No matter how high I go in rank, no matter how many people's lives I try to save, I am prejudiced upon, looked down upon.
Well, as far as I know, when I was aboard the Olympic, and I was all alone, everyone around me was being beamed out. And there was a snarky chief engineer who now I realize was a clone, but nonetheless, who didn't think I was much of a threat, and was probably leading me to get being prisoner or to have a parasite put into myself. I just know that when I managed to hypo him and those doors went open, if you hadn't been there to help me drag that body out of the way, would have been in shock.
He kind of like laughs finally, the cold exterior dropping a little bit. Kind of, I half expected you to turn the hypospray on me with how fast I turned around.
Oh, I only had one hypo, so I couldn't do anything more.
Well, I didn't know that. Oh, man. And even then, on that mission, I threw myself in front of. There was a large group of Romulans that had taken us, and we had only a few people with weapons, 2 other bystanders, I suppose, that had joined the fray. I thought that if I was destined to die in that hallway, that I would do my duty and I would die in that hallway. But I survived, and somehow I'm scorned for it. I thought I was saving lives. I thought I was giving my life to save others that knew more about the ship, knew how to isolate force fields, use computer terminals. I don't know how to do any of that. I can just point a phaser and shoot.
And you can defend. And what's really, what's important, Shamar, is that we stop these things before more lives are lost and before more ships are destroyed and before people cannot trust each other. So your strengths are in defense, my strengths are in healing. And everyone else in our crew has their strengths.
I agree. You saved my life. Unfortunately, you couldn't save the life of that other woman, but you did a damn good job from what I saw. Thank you. I suppose I just...
Yeah, she doesn't have much. She's just kind of quiet after that. It's just thinking about the ends or about the tenant again.
If her face gets a little colder, you'll try and kind of like reassure her. And that wasn't an easy job. You're thrust into a chief medical officer position and given a case that's near impossible to save. You did everything you could. It was honorable.
Thank you. I'm just gonna.
Which is like strange. It's almost like a Klingon-esque aspect.
Well, from the way that Cardassians have been portrayed, you're definitely different from other Cardassians, and I'm grateful for it. Because, like I said, I don't know if every Cardassian would save a short person's life, a doctor's life.
It's funny how that shade of gray can turn too many different colors. So many Cardassians, they're just misguided. They're human beings. They're humanoids. They have lives. They have families. But they're just misguided. Anyway, thank you, Doctor. And he'll kind of like look around, like maybe he dropped his exterior a little too hard. He's like, "Oh shit, is there anyone else around?"
A Romulan/Orion hybrid walks in and looks around and says, "Oh, am I interrupting anything?"
And then like a guy that kind of like opens up to like some guys like don't like to open up to other males, but open up to females a lot more. It's like as another dude walks in, he like completely like shuts down and goes Cardassian again, or just at least Starfleet. Maybe even wipes like a single tear, and yeah.
It would be amusing if you were to please tell me if you're quiet if there's more roleplay.
No, go ahead.
But it would be amusing if you had told Vosky that story, because of course Vosky has no problem at all with Shamar at the moment, and he completely respects him. But like if Shamar were to tell that whole story, he'd go, "Wait a minute, you turned a blaster or a disruptor on people who you were wearing the same uniform as and swore an oath with?"
Hold on a minute.
You're a traitor.
Wait, what do you mean?
When you shot the Cardassians in the past, in your bio, in your history.
Oh yeah. He's all about that. Like I mean, he's saying like he hates Cardassia and like he joined the Maquis. He was joined the Maquis because he hates Cardassia and wants to like fight against the like evil Cardassian people, right? But then a Starfleet ship shows up and gives him the chance, like become Starfleet or be imprisoned, and he joins Starfleet and still has the same like. So he's dedicated to the Federation, not to the Cardassia.
No. Well, clearly. But no, the point that Vosky would be like, is that if I understood your story correctly, is you were at one point a member of the Cardassian military.
Yes.
But
it was his first mission. Like I imagine. I imagine it's like all young boys were just conscripted. Like maybe he had no choice, and like he was like told like through all his education to hate the Federation. So maybe he actually had an allegiance to Cardassia at one point, and that was like the turning point.
Yeah, no. Like out of character, I completely get it and so forth. But like in character, Vosky's sort of like, oh, okay. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
it's your
trust
turn.
you
This thing
now.
Bosky was on like an open palm in the back, just listening to this whole thing.
You're like, just
I totally don't. I
communicator
totally don't
open.
mind if anyone. If you want to like be in the. Let's say this. As me and her finish the conversation, I turn around the corner and there's
Oh, no,
Bosky.
no,
Like,
no.
no, okay. I'm totally down if you want to do something like that. I don't care.
No. But if
No,
Bosky
okay.
were to learn it, it would just be a case of, so you turned on people that you presumably swore an oath with. Okay, alright, this is not good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
All right.
I guess
Well,
that's
yeah,
something that me as a GM will have to test in the future.
Yeah, find a way to
so.
See if I can break Shamar. Break Shamar's
Yeah.
oath. Alright, does anyone have anything
Bad
else?
that Ensign Tekis didn't come till this week because this would have been a good conversation for the counselor to handle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I almost
Yes.
considered going to the counselor, but because he was new, and also because nobody has opened up or like even tried to talk to Shamar yet, besides Magar, we had like that one scene. So I was like, okay, he's kind of the most he's the most comfortable with her, so he opened up to her first. But I actually had thought about that entire scene being with the who want to be a counselor, but I didn't really work out.
Well, we have
It's amazing, just real quick, it's amazing that the same session that the doctor just lost his second person and then people opening up is the session that somebody comes in with a counselor/diplomat.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
we have plenty. We have
maybe
plenty.
Tekis just needs to roll in. Or sorry.
No, go ahead.
Maybe just have Tekis start rolling insight checks every time he's around me. Go like, you need to open up.
Well, that goes along to what I was gonna say. We'll have plenty of opportunities for even more opening up and stuff like that. And since we do know that we have because I think even in this game we didn't really know we had a counselor until like the last 1/4 of the episode because of how that went. But we'll have plenty of opportunities for that because I definitely look forward to like more stuff, more traumatizing you guys, and then you having to open up to
Yes,
people.
please.
But yeah, does anyone want to do anything quick or role play or say anything really quick before we end tonight's session?
Nothing.
No, I think it's good.
All right. Well, in that case, that was overall episode 7. We are not ourselves part of A Star Beyond the Stars. And yeah, we do have. I'm actually going to do reputation this episode because that was kind of a good place to stop the episode, so that we don't have to go into the next episode with accumulated reputation. So does anyone have to leave first, and I will, or soon, and I will go ahead and do
Yes,
you guys.
me.
Okay. All right. Let me jump to my homebrew.
I never got
reputation.
to. I didn't really do much this episode, so I never got to use any of my milestones. So I guess they're just stuck at 3.
Yeah, I mean it's fine. If they're stuck at 3, that means you have more opportunities. You have more milestones to use in the future. So,
even if I used one, it would still be at 3 as well. So it's all good.
all right. So let's see. Okay. So for Shamar, acted in accordance with orders and directives. I'm pretty sure he did. One challenge a directive. I don't think so. I know you.
A directive.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Something, not a
You
directive.
challenged something, but it wasn't a directive. Active above me on the Call of Duty. Actually, I think this is the first episode where he hasn't, because I think the last 2 episodes he almost died.
Yeah, this is the only time he hasn't like shot a phaser
or done anything really. Yeah. I mean, he's done stuff, but just not like above and beyond what
I
a
was
normal.
just like walking around this episode.
Yeah.
So I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta drop this.
All right, directly contributed to saving lives. I don't think so.
No, it's just gonna be a bunch of no's, I think.
Yeah, taking unnecessary risks. I don't think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe risking my command, or maybe like risking my rank.
Right.
But I don't know.
But I don't think it's worth the -2 that I would give you for that. So.
Yeah. That sounds a little.
Personnel under your command were killed, not yet. Directly contributed to the deaths of others, not this time. Resorted to lethal force without cause, surprisingly no. Formed an alliance with an enemy. Not really. You're Starfleet, so pretty much everyone on your ship is your ally. Maintain the Prime Directive. Nah, there hasn't been any other. Besides the parasites, there's no other civilization to interact with. Insubordination to a superior. Oh, Idril's not superior, so he's under you actually.
I wouldn't call it insubordination, more just like sass.
Yeah.
Like he didn't disobey an order. They didn't tell him to stay.
So roll 1 positive dice, which I hate. That is one of the things that I don't like. And I think reputation is leaned, obviously for obvious reasons, heavily towards the in-character stuff. But I think that's what the milestones come in, is like for the out-of-character roleplay and stuff. That's where I give out more milestones. So, but for reputation, just 1.
So what were you talking about with the roll? How do I do that?
I thought you did it before.
You said I did not recognize the terminology you used.
So, okay, you're there. Okay, so to the right, you'll see where it has a 2. Just change that 2 to a 1.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking.
Make sure you hit enter, because if it won't work if you don't hit enter. And then hit the com badge and see if you get anything. You got 1, so you're up to 14. I'll go ahead and give you a normal milestone, so you can change that to 4. And then if you gotta go, then you gotta go.
Weren't you saying there was a 3 milestone cap?
No, it's just you can have 3, and then you can change. I think you could change 3 normal milestones into 1 spotlight if you wanted to.
Okay, got it. Okay.
But I don't think there's a cap. There might,
Cool.
If there is, it's going to be a homebrew cap that I develop because people have 17 milestones that I don't like.
Yeah.
I want y'all to use that shit. That's what it's for. But otherwise, no. All right, so I think that's it for you. If you need to go,
Cool.
I'll move on to somebody else.
I'll stay for a couple more minutes. But
All right. Does anyone else have to leave relatively soon? All right, then I'll just go down the list. Ashkor, Mr. Tekis. So you're a Romulan, but you're in Starfleet, so I'll use the Starfleet reputation. Acted in accordance with orders and directives, yes, +1. Challenged a directive, no. Acted above me on the call of duty, no. Directly contributed to saving lives, no, I don't think so. Taking unnecessary risks, no. Personnel under your command were killed, no. Directly contributed to deaths of others, no. No. Formed alliance with the enemy, no. At least I don't think so. Maintain the prime directive, no. Prevented combat, no. Insubordination to a superior, no. So, I know you haven't done it before, or at least I don't think you have, so I'll go ahead and walk you through it. If you get your character sheet out, click on the little gear symbol at the top, right next to Starfleet personnel file. And in case I didn't say your name, this is Tekis, who's played by Ashkor, or something like that. Okay.
Ashkor, yeah.
Yeah. So at the very top, you'll see where it says Starfleet personnel file. Just click on the gear cog symbol, and it should take you to the reputation.
Okay, here's milestones.
Yeah.
Okay, here's reputation.
So this is really important because there's a lot of bugs in these things. So you see where it says responsibility 1, you in kind of in the middle of the sheet. That's not good. You don't want that. So the bug is that you have to change your rank from ensign to any other rank, and then change it back to ensign, and it will put it back. It'll put it up to 20. There you go. So basically what that means is it's supposed to be a critical failure, so you want your critical failures only to be at 20, not at 1 or above, because that would be everything.
Okay.
Yeah, and you got to do that on every character sheet you ever make on forever, as long as you live. So then on the right, it's going to have a 0 with a combat symbol. You want to change that to a 1, and you want to hit the enter button. If you don't hit the enter button, nothing will happen. So always make sure you hit the enter button. And then click on the com badge.
Click on combat?
Yep. And you didn't go up, but you know that sometimes happens. It also makes kind of sense because you just got introduced this episode. So,
Yes.
And as for milestones, like I said before, I give all newcomers a normal milestone in the first mission because there's no session 0. So, and you know you wouldn't have the opportunity to change anything. So go ahead and change normal milestone from 0 to 1, and that is it for you. And for normal milestones, what you can do is you can do things like you can change out your discipline. Like if you have, like let's say you earlier, you know, you wanted to change out that medicine with that the con. In a normal game, you would have to basically use a milestone to do that, but I let you do that freely because it was kind of more of a mistake than anything. But yeah, if let's say you wanted to swap security and engineering, then you could do that. You can.
But from now on,
Mhm.
So that was my one mulligan. From now on, I will use milestone in that way.
Correct. Yep. And if you need help figuring out what they do or advice on how to use them, then
Do
just
you
let me know.
mind if I use that free milestone?
I mean, if you have an idea for it, go ahead.
Because I was going to swap my control for insight, because I'm using insight a lot more.
Oh yeah, you're definitely going to use insight like 110% more than control as a counselor. So yeah, I would definitely do that.
Everything else I think is fine.
Yep, and then just put that milestone to 0 and you're good. Let's see, who else? I'm looking at the gilded. So Karava, you're next. I'm actually going to use the Romulan reputation chart in this one. Because it's mostly the same as the Starfleet, except with a couple flavor things added in. Act in accordance with ordinance directives, yes, that's a +1. Challenge a directive, no. Circumvented combat with deception or espionage. Circumvented combat. I mean, there was chance of combat with Frost, but that was... I think we did handle that in the last episode. Personnel under your command were killed. Yeah, I got a -1 on that one. So go ahead.
Who was that?
Well, Frost. She was a part of your ship before she was infected, and then she died.
Oh, I thought she was on the. Oh,
Tried to save her.
I know that.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Tried to save her, but I wasn't the one who got to roll her fate.
Yep, it was a 50-50 chance, and she came very close to it, but she got to the point where it just gave her enough time to utter what she uttered, and then she passed on, which in some cases could be considered a mercy, but you know, the game mechanics are the game mechanics. So you're at 12, so just reduce that to 11 for the death. And I think that was the only death this episode. Well, there was the whole Olympic blowing up, but that's going to be... they were enemies anyway, so they weren't under your command, even if they weren't enemies. Resorted to violence before diplomacy. I don't think you ever do that, so I don't think we ever have to worry about that. Establish an alliance with an enemy. I don't think so. Directly contributed to saving lives. Yes, because you beamed a bunch of people off that ship before they blew up, so that's a +2. Acted, or you had Lex have someone do it, which I'm. Oh wait, no, it was Kamina went to Lex, I think, if I remember correctly. Yeah, Kamina called Lex, and then Lex did it. So I'll hopefully remember that. So acted above me on the Call of Duty. For the state. I can't think of anything. You were in the interrogation, which I think is normal for an EXO/intelligence officer. Then you went to a conference. I can't really think of anything that was above and beyond the call, unless if you can think of something, let me know.
No.
Insubordination, no. Knowingly, directly contributed to the deaths of innocents, no. Taking unnecessary risks without results, no. Betraying the state, no. So yeah, you roll 1, and then add whatever you get to it. And then the next person on my list is Colin. I'm gonna also do the Romulan one.
I used the determination, so do I get a normal milestone?
Yep, you get a normal milestone. Thank you for reminding me. If you used the determination, or if you were injured, or if you challenged a value, then you get a normal milestone. And if you already know that, then you don't have to wait for me to tell you. You can go ahead and put it in there. Just let me know who you are when you do it.
I've got currently now then two normal milestones and 1 spotlight milestone.
Nice. So Romulan reputation for Colin's character Kamina. Act in accordance with orders and directives, yes. Challenge a directive, I don't think so. Circumvented combat with deception or espionage. Definitely not with deception.
I didn't walk up and fight the counselor.
That is true. Personnel under your command were...
I'll see you guys all later.
Alright, later, man. Personnel under your command were killed. Not yet.
You say that every time. It's so menacing.
I know, that's why I say it. Someone said it to me in one of my first games one time on accident, and I've been using it ever since. That was like 4 years ago. Let's see. Resorted to violence before diplomacy. No. Established an alliance.
Not this time.
Yeah, right. Established an alliance with an enemy. I don't think so. Directly contributed to saving lives, yes, but the Romulans only put a value of 1 to life, while the Federation do 3. But in this case, since there was like 9 of them, I'm going to go ahead and give you the full 3. So that's going to be 4 positive reputation dice so far. Active above me on the Call of Duty. I'm going to say... I don't think so. Not just for that. Because, like... You know, you scanned the ship to see what was going on. You basically did what any normal Starfleet or Romulan officer would have done, which is save as many people as possible and get away from the explosion. So I don't think that I could give you one for that. Plus, it's technically not for the state, really. I don't think they care about the USS Olympic blowing up. Insubordinate, no. Knowingly contributed to deaths of innocents, no. Taking unnecessary risks without results, no. Betraying the state, no. So you roll 4 positive dice, and on my list is Dr. Engstrom next. Federation Starfleet reputation. Acting in accordance with orders and
back
directives.
up to normal reputation.
Nice. Acting in accordance with orders and directives, yes. Challenge. I pretty much give that every time. Challenge a directive. I don't think so. Active above me on the Call of Duty. Because, like, obviously the first thing I think of is her failed surgery of Dr. Frost. Like, it was awesome, but it was kind of her job. So I don't know if it was above and beyond the Call of Duty. What do you think, Engstrom?
I'm supposed to be healing people, and I so far have failed 2 campaigns in a row to do that.
2 campaigns or 2 sessions?
I meant sessions.
Okay, because if it was 2 campaigns, I'd be like, maybe you should try a different occupation. Active on okay. Directly contributed to saving lives. I mean, saving someone's life for like 10 minutes doesn't really count, I don't think. So I don't think I can give you that one. Taking unnecessary risks. Was that an unnecessary risk, though? I don't think so. I think it was either that or let her die, and you would have obviously done the doctory thing. So, personnel under your command were killed. Not yet. Directly contributed to the deaths of others.
Wow, not yet.
Well, the thing is, people died under her, but they weren't under her command, and even though she was directly, involved with this death, she didn't contribute to it. She did what she could to save them, but it did no good. Really, the thing that killed her was the neural parasite when it left her. Resorted to lethal force without cause, no. Formed an alliance with an enemy. I can't think of an enemy that she would have.
Not.
Yeah. Oh, there would be funny if like someone formed an alliance with an enemy but didn't know it. It's like, yeah, you're totally fine with that enemy that you have no idea is your enemy.
I mean, there's that whole interaction with Shamar, right?
Well, what's going to end up happening is I'm going to fuck with someone so hard one time that I'm going to give them that, and I'm not going to tell them who it was, and it's going to bother them for the rest of the campaign. Oh, man.
What if we don't know
And
that
then-
there are enemies yet?
Yeah, that's... Well, the thing is... Like, okay, let's take, for example, McShale, because he's a good example. He's a he's a clone of a chief engineer who was obviously a bad guy. But let's say, because at the beginning of last session, I asked the doctor specifically, is there anything you do or anyone you talk to outside of your quarters with your roommate? And she was like, no. So if she had gone out and like become best friends with the chief engineer, and then just all of a sudden he turns out to be evil, like, she would have formed an alliance with an enemy because that's what she did. But she didn't. She stayed in her quarters, so she didn't get it. So yeah, it's possible to totally become an ally to an enemy without knowing it. Maintain the prime directive, no. Prevented combat, I don't think so. Insubordination, no. So yeah, you get 1 as well. And then we got to Hamlin. Oh, and if you, like I said before, if you got injured or used a determination or challenge of value, you get a normal milestone. Mr. Hamlin, act in accordance with orders and directives, yes, +1. Challenge a directive, I don't think so. Act above me on the Call of Duty, don't think so. Directly contributed, no. He's the pilot, right? Yeah. Okay. Taking unnecessary risks. No. I'm just gonna go down the list. No. Form an alliance with enemy.
Yeah.
No. Maintain the prime directive. No. Preventing combat. No. Insubordination. No. So yeah, 1 for him as well. And just like with Tekis, I will go ahead and show you how to do it in case. Oh, you've already done it. So never mind.
I'm following along, yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I love when players do that. It makes life so easy. Let's see. Mac, Colonel Lex. 1, let's see. I'm just going to look down the list because I don't want to go through all of them again. You definitely get 1. You get the 3 for saving all those people. So you got 4 at least, at the very least. I don't think you're preventing combat. Yeah, so you go ahead and roll 4. Well, actually, yeah. I mean, I want to say being, nah, yeah, 4. Just 4. Roll 4 positive dice. I was going to give you 5 for acting above me on the Call of Duty because you were, like, in charge of the bridge for most of the episode, but I think by now you're like the second officer. You should know how to do that. You should be able to do that. And also, you definitely should make sure your command's higher than 2.
It's a 3 right now.
Oh, awesome. Alright, so let's see. Bosky. Act according to directives, yes. Challenge directive, I don't think so. Act above me on the Call of Duty. I mean, you did a lot of science, but that's kind of his job.
But it's the duty, yeah.
Yeah, you challenged... I don't think you challenged anyone, but you were very... what's the word I'm looking for? You...